back again.
Live.
For you bitches and bitchettes, we are back again, mother lovers. What's going on? You know what I mean? We had a little week off. Man was out there traveling, was doing the thing. But we're back for some shit you might not never know nothing about. I'm your host, My Stiggy. You know what I mean? Glad to be back in the hot seat with my common senses, of course. And I got my co-host. I shouldn't even just call him the co-host, man. I got to call you something better than that. Like you are like 33rd degree Master Mason. You built this house where
the advisor, Masonic advisor.
Masonic advisor.
Masonic
advisor. You see that there? Co-host Dan DNA. What's going on, man?
Good.
How are you? You
right?
good?
Yeah.
Good week off?
Did I have a week off last week? Yeah, I've started to recording a book, so yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of time to I had like 3 days of just being able to sort of record it properly.
That's hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Putting in hours and a lot of water.
Yeah, I've done 9 hours, I think it's taken to do it.
Jeez. What, the whole book?
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations, bruv, man.
Yeah, I'm a fast reader.
Audio book.
Yeah.
Jeez, where can we catch that, man? We got.
I don't know when it'll be out.
Yeah, just follow him on the Twitters.
It's not my book.
Nah.
Book,
yeah, well, you know, it ain't got to be your book.
No.
But it's good to be able to spread, something, especially like books that you read and you're like, man, people need to know this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be able to spread that, man. It's a shame, you know, like I try and get people to read certain books and I can tell they're just like, yeah.
It's much easier to read audio books.
Yeah, because you're not necessarily...
You can do it on the go. You know, you can read it you can listen to it wherever you are. So. It's hard to find the time to sit down and read a book nowadays.
Yeah, but I think you should. I think it's the time that you could. It's at least some form of meditation. Do you know what I mean? It's like quiet space where you're not taking in too much. You know what I mean? Stimulation,
definitely.
Like visual, or you know, it's just like you're just reading these words and getting some knowledge, man. You know, getting some liberation.
But sometimes you read a book and then you're like, you read one page and you just go.
True.
And you're just like, that's blown my mind reading that. You know? But if you're just listening to stuff, it's not. It just goes through.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I was going to ask you. Do you think that people absorb the information just as well when it's just all like it's just you're listening to it and doing stuff?
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
Yeah, that's what I wonder.
Music seems to you absorb music really well. You know, if you were just reading notes on a page and lyrics, you wouldn't absorb that as well. But for some reason, music goes in audibly, but words is like I can remember really good passage, not whole passages, but I can remember lines of books that have really sort of like struck me. Yeah, it's pretty deep, man. But I really enjoy reading. I mean, especially with the traveling and all that, man. Yeah,
you know what I mean,
so
that's where
you're traveling, have you?
Yeah, man. Been going. I went to France a couple times the last 2 weeks, and it was like, I only came back for about 2 days or something like that. That's why it was like, probably best not. I think I was flying out actually on the Wednesday, so I couldn't even do it. But yeah, it was good, man. Getting back on the road with Smokey Joe and the kid. It's been a lot of fun, boy. We did Bordeaux, which is their hometown. And
big show.
Yeah, big show. Rocha de Palma smacked it up. And we got a new MC involved as well. Yoshi, the original, man, he's sick as well. One of them guys with that French, you know, he's got the twang with the French stuff and that, but the flows as well, you know, he's like very like intricate with it. And so it's good to be able to share stage with an MC, because before it was just me on my jacks with the guys, you know, with the band. So now, man, so the shows have been going off. Shout out to all the crew out there, Paul, Sanois, Bordeaux, you know. There's a few different spots we've hit up already, and off for a couple of weeks now. I think I got next weekend off, and then we go back. I think we're doing all like Paris and all them sort of spots. But yeah, man, been fun. The video's doing well as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Shout out to the people been supporting that Culture Clash, Smokey Joe and the Kid featuring Yoshi the original and Mice Diggy. And that's where France and UK go at it, man. We go at it a bit, but you know. Not for too long, not for too long. It's all love.
And is there a London show happening, or what's the...
Yeah, I believe there's going to be something popping up in the summer. So once the details come in, But I know we're doing a festival. I think we're going to be doing Boomtown, is it? And then after that, I think there is there's a UK date. London date. There's a London date that we're going to do. So yeah, man, people look for that for sure. Shout out to the people, all the common sensors out there, man. You know we are powered by the cult of common sense right here on some shit you might not never know nothing about. So we got to shout out our common sensors. You know what I mean? First responders. Shout out to Kenny Rebel, Easy Moore, Easy Lawrence Limburger. Yeah, we're about to go in, man. We got one of our very own, you know what I mean, coming up very soon, boy.
Yeah.
We're going to get into some, it's going to be interesting, man, because obviously, you know, we've mentioned it over a couple of the last shows. And I think rightfully so, because, you know, when you're looking at the numbers, man, it's like, right, it's ridiculous. Like every day there's comments on this show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, I didn't realize it was this much of a thing. Do you know what I mean? And especially like the passion people have for it on either side. You know what I mean? Whether you're a glober or a flat earther, it's like there's some real passion in this community. Because it seems to be a community of, you know, they all obviously know each other.
We'll get the inside scoop on all of that.
So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that, man. Let's give a shout out first of all to the CMOS boss. Do you know what I mean? Always got to big them up because they look after us here on the show. I got my CMOS here. You know, people think it's coffee, but yeah, bro, this is my blend. You know what I mean? I make a little gel now. Bam, what a little gel, yeah, pot full of gel. I put the CMOS and some dose. You know what I mean? So I've got all my B vitamins going on, and a whole bunch of like iron and magnesium and potassium and, you know what I mean? It's shit you might not never know nothing about. But listen, man, the CMOS boss has got the quality vegetables straight from Ireland. What makes the products different is that the CMOS and sea veg is 100% wild crafted, not farmed on ropes like most others on the market. You know what I mean? Hanging onto a rope like, yeah, bruv, no, I'm good, you know, how are you, man? And it's like, nah, these men got to fight. They got to fight. They're hanging onto rocks. Do you know what I mean? Getting their nutrients from that shit. Yo, tide comes in, they're hanging on, they're clinging onto a rock. So, you know, that's like power, bruv. That's, you know what I mean? You got inner strength. None of these rope, man, them man hanging on the ropes, they ain't got nothing on you for this. You know what I mean? You're like natural EPO, it's like natural steroids, natural testosterone. Them man there, they all pumped with all kinds of bullshit, right? That's what the rope does, man. So they're weak without it. They're weak without the rope. So listen, the products are certified by the Irish Organic Association and harvested from the rocks, like I said, which allows the veg ample time to sit in pools of cold seawater, which are replenished by the tides, giving it time to absorb the essential minerals that provide for the veg and in return for our bodies. Irish moss, widely used to sustain lives of thousands of Irish people during times of famine. And I find that really interesting because we're always told that they survived on potatoes. And when you really think about it with a logical mind, who the fuck can survive just on potatoes, just on carbs, which turn into sugar? Really? I mean, there's a bit of vitamin C on the skin and other bits, but come on, man, just spuds, just potatoes. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? They hid that from us. So there's some shit you might not never know nothing about. The people in Ireland actually survived off of these sea vegetables.
That could be a secret they're trying to keep hidden from us.
It is.
They're using the potato famine thing as like a cover for the fact they all let CMOS. So
yeah, man, and because the shit thrives in like harsh conditions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like the Irish.
Yeah, exactly. So get your sea vegetables, man. There's a whole bunch of selection. You can get dose, like I said, dose bites, spirulina, bladderwrack. Obviously, the wild crafted Irish moss. Yeah, you call this Irish moss, not sea moss, because sea moss comes from anywhere, but Irish moss, only from Ireland. You could get the real sea spice, which I think is really good, man. It's a whole mixture. Do you know what I mean? It can be a substitute to salt. You can get real sea spaghetti, and man, and wakame as well. That's a new addition, wakame, man. And like I said, just, you know, do your Googles, man. Do your DuckDuckGos, whatever. Do some research on it and you'll see how powerful these sea vegetables are, man. And you can get them at a decent price from the seamossboss.co.uk, mother lovers. And guess what? That's not the only thing. You can also get yourself 20% off. 20% off any order if you type in about 20. How hard is that? About 20 and get yourself 20% off any of the Sea Moss Boss orders that you make, mother lovers.
You're supporting them. You're supporting us.
Yep.
Letting them know that we're all connected up.
And we wouldn't push anything that's, you know what I mean?
No.
Not good for you, man, because I'm not into that. If you follow me, you know I'm about health. Like every now and again, I might post a little something here and there. You know what I mean? But because I always feel like people aren't interested in that. But you know, I think, boy, health it's got to be the most important thing, man. Because you ain't gonna be able to do shit unless you're healthy. You know what I mean? If you want to enjoy life, you better enjoy some decent food and being hydrated as well. Shout to Ken F. Shout to POK in the building. Shout to Mount Jarvis. Yeah, man. So, Connoisseurs UK.
Should we do? We could do that one later. Let's do
yeah.
Yeah, let's do it later. Let's get our.
Yeah. Let's get the guests in, man. Of course. We got to do this, man. It's time, bruv. We've been wanting to do this from a few shows ago, man. Because this guy, he's one of the comment censors, man. Hope you don't mind me saying that, but he drops gems in the comment section quite very often. And obviously, like I was alluded to before, you know, that show with David Wise, the Flat Earther, it started to get a lot of people riled up and, you know, sort of arguing in the comment section and whatnot. And our guest coming in, I already knew that he had quite a bit of knowledge in this field. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought, from what I remember, he was leaning more to the side of it being flat, which would mean he wouldn't be leaning in it. He'd be standing straight if it's flat. Yeah. So, but you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And do you know what I mean? So when this came up, and obviously he's with us in the comment census section, you know, it was like, oh, shit, actually, maybe he is still in the flat realm. But then it was like, nah, maybe he isn't. And then we started to feel like, all right, maybe he just sympathizes with flat earthers because he understands, he's been there, but he's probably in a place where he's like, I'm not sure.
And we're still not sure. We don't know how. We don't know. We still don't know how he feels. So that's why we're
clueless.
Get him on.
So we have to get him on because
swing. We sometimes end the show and go, I think Gleem's probably a flat earther. And then another week we go, I reckon Gleem's not a flat earther.
Yeah, I don't think he is, man.
Every week it's been puzzling us for the last couple of months.
Yeah, man, isn't it? Yo, Gleem, man, come in, bruv, come in. Ladies and gents, man, give him a warm welcome, man. Let's see some fire emojis. Common senses, man. Yo, this is going to be jokes, man.
Greetings. One.
Oh, big up to
Hope
PLK.
cool.
Big up to Mrs. PLK locked in. Yo, Gleem, how you doing, bruv?
All good, man. All good.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
I will say this is the first time throughout years of debating flat Earth and globe Earth and whatnot. This is the first time I've ever come on camera. So if any of them are watching, this is the first time they'll ever see me. Wow. And this is mainly because you are you, my brother.
Oh, well.
You give me the opportunity with Fubar.
Yeah.
You invited me up. You knew me from previous, obviously, and support acts and stuff. But
definitely,
you give me the opportunity, so I feel like family. You know what I mean? You're family to me, and as
likewise, bruv.
You've been down there. You've been down Pompey, wrecking the scene straight down there.
Yeah, man.
Smashing shows. Yeah. Seriously, it's been years we've known each other. I mean, 2016 was the Fubar thing.
Yeah,
and
but
I promised I'd come back with a reggae thing on a reggae side of things because
Mm.
I was just about to release my reggae album then,
Ah.
which we'll promote later.
Yeah. We'll get into that
yeah.
for sure, man.
But either way, yeah. So for the audience sake, you'll see me lurking around in the comments. Some dirty, stinking hippie.
Very.
Oh no, I think in some cases I come across arrogant, but you know how you read text, and it's sort of like it comes across as if I know something that everybody else don't, but that's not how I intend it. How I intend it is more nobody knows, not even me. I'm stupid. I can't be. If I can just start the whole talk off with a massive disclaimer, just to say I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who's done massive tests, experiments, and actual practical work. I'm not someone who's got the upper hand on anyone in the chat. Who's got the upper hand on either you two? You know, I've got an opinion, and I think that's all I can say it. But I think I've got a different side of the coin, which actually gives Flat Earth some validity, and not validity in as much as I can definitively say, yeah, the Flat Earthers are correct, because they've actually taken that one step further and said, right, okay, I know that there's something wrong with the mainstream narrative. So I'm changing that mainstream narrative to an ancient narrative, which happens to be the Flat Earth model. And in my perspective, from always, I come out of, or I started looking into the Flat Earth through a Rupert Sheldrake video. Now, if anybody's seen Rupert Sheldrake, I beg you, look that guy's name up, and he's a scientist. He's a doctor of biology. He is actually, his life's work is featured in every single biology paper. It's to do with, he discovered the polar auxin transport for a plant, which all in fancy terms is just basically how a plant passes on its DNA. That's simply it. But his work is like a question in all biology papers nowadays, is a standard. However, he got shunned out of science, mainly from, I don't know whether anyone's heard of James Rand, or James Randi. Yeah, he's a known debunker. Back in the 80s, he used to have a program. Exactly,
he's a magician.
He's a magician himself, and he was kind of like, you'll remember this, you know, that masked magician who always used to reveal the tricks. Yeah. It's similar to that. He was a magician to start with, and he thought, bloody hell, I can fool so many people, that I need to start up something to debunk people doing ridiculous things and people believe in them. In as much as his main target was the likes of parapsychology and
Uri Geller,
and messing with the spirits and stuff like that. So he was a prominent figure in as much as he had his own TV show. You could say he's equivalent to Jeremy Beadle. So Jeremy Beadle in his heyday was massive. You know what I mean? He was everywhere. He used to do the Red Book show.
Only 80s and 90s kids will know Jeremy Beadle.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry to all the younger crowd out there.
Jeremy Beadle, he's taking it back, bro.
He's like David Blaine to everyone else.
Oh, wait there, my page is going on. Wait there. But anyway, so, I mean, I wonder, sorry. Jack Daniels makes me wonder. But anyway. Yeah. How I started in the whole scene is I was looking into it, looking at this Rupert Sheldrake video, and the Rupert Sheldrake video was 10 core questions or dogmas which science believe in.
This is what he done on his band TED Talk, wasn't it? People can find him talking through these things on the band TED Talk.
Dan, I'm so impressed you know offhand like that. Yes.
Yeah, that's
it was
Master Mason.
He
Master Mason band though.
Yeah, he's connected. But Exactly that. Exactly what Dan said. He done a TED talk and he said, I've just wrote a book where I'm challenging science using its own rules. Okay. And one of the core ones was, is the speed of light, or sorry, has the speed of light always been a constant? Okay. In as much to say as we have the evolution of mankind in the scientific terms, we have the evolution of mankind, we have the evolution of the planets, the universe, la la la. Why wouldn't there be an evolution of the constants, gravity constant, as also the speed of light constant? And when you actually delve deeper into that topic, you come across one of the leading guys in the whole of science, and he's very unknown to a lot of people, but his name's Paul Dirac. And I need to say that he is one of my favorite scientists, in as much as his personal life versus his scientific knowledge and what he actually done for science is far greater than what Albert Einstein could even imagine himself to accomplish. You know, and Einstein himself would admit this. And if you've ever seen, there's a famous photo with all of the most top boys in science, Schrödinger, you've got Lorentz, you've got Einstein right in the middle, and right on their shoulders is Paul Dirac. Now, Paul Dirac is the godfather of quantum electrodynamics. He was the guy that kicked off the quantum movement, and his equations actually married up relativity with quantum mechanics and allowed a certain progression, basically the switch over point just before Feynman had created his diagrams, and we switched over the standard model from a classical point of view to a quantum point of view. So he was the main instigator of that, albeit obviously there were previous scientists in the same thing, but his equations, there's, from what I've read, and again, this is my opinion, but from what I've read, he was the man. He was the top boy, and God knows how he come up with the equations, but he made the most simplest, beautiful equations that described and married up quantum mechanics with relativity. But either way, so getting back to Rupert Sheldrake, he'd done the video about the speed of light. That led me onto the flat Earth. I then joined this group called the Flat Earth versus Globe Earth discussion group on Facebook. Had about 10,000 people already joined up to it. Now, if anybody knows the Flat Earth group and Flat Earth debate, there is a popular guy called Nathan Thompson. Nathan Thompson then turned that group into 120 odd thousand, I think it was, later on. However, got into major and real hard, stressful, crazy, stupid antics, in as much as outside of an infant school, as they would class it in there, God knows what grade it is, but outside an infant school, shouting at kids in the playground, the earth is flat, your teachers are lying to you, and throwing flyers at them. Come get these flyers, kids. And they're all sort of like 8, 9, you know what I mean? And to me, I'm from a natural child protection background, from a youth worker background, and that is a big no-no. That is what you call a arrestable offence, of which he got arrested for and charged for harassing minors. And
yeah, it's a bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. There are many things, and I'm sure we'll touch on a few going through this, but you can't mention them all because there are so many. There's
all right, so
too much corruption, but essentially that tripped me into this flat Earth versus globe Earth debate. Now, back in them days, it just used to be text on Facebook, in a Facebook group. Someone would start a topic, is gravity real? And everyone would jump on it, question it, and so on. And the one thing, sorry if you wanted to move that along, but I did want to move that along to exactly what I was talking about in the backstage in the pre-show.
Yeah.
Yeah, about David Weiss the couple of weeks back.
Well, so
go on.
You know what? Because so you're saying that it was from the light, like you know the constant, the speed of light.
Yeah.
Right, that constant, and then you started to look into that more, and you realized like, oh right, things aren't what I thought they were, and that's what made you go flat Earth, or
no, it was more. Not that I was questioning science, but I like that conspiracy. I like the conspiracy. I'm conspiracy minded. I've got to say that. I am fully behind the fact that the 9/11 is conspiratorial. And there's something to it. And again, who am I? I'm no one who knows nothing over in England who's making a judgment based on what the news are feeding me versus on what the YouTubers are feeding me. So.
So do you only go YouTube for your info, would you say?
No, not at all. I'm a heavy watcher of mainstream media. And it's not mainly for that story. It's more to see the narrative, to see what they're pushing.
Okay.
And I'm not saying whatever they say, you've got to believe the opposite, but it is tending to believe that in as much as there's always something behind it, if you know what I mean. It's something big's made of something, and then 2 weeks later we find out it wasn't that much anyway. They've just made loads of money selling papers. That's basically
selling
it in my mind.
alopecia cream.
It's exactly that. One thing I see on the back end of that, I do think it was a real slap, because that's all that in Will Smith's mind.
Yeah, let's chat about that later, man. I don't even want to, because I know what you mean, but yeah, sorry. True. All right, so so then you were saying from then got into these debates, yeah?
Yeah, these group debates in basically challenging and asking globe earthers, people representing globe Earth.
You were challenging them.
Yeah, from a flat earther's point of view. I mean, that was one of my core aspects. How do we know that the speed of light hasn't changed? And that was one of my core arguments. And not a lot of people even knew that that is even an option on the table. Or even if you suggested it, it was ridiculous in them days. It wasn't really that common. I'd say back in them days, it was obviously 9/11 had happened and whatnot, but the flat Earth wasn't nowhere near as big as it is today, and in its boom a couple of years back. Yeah, it's back in them days it was very scarce. You had 1 or 2 videos on YouTube, but in the same way, new videos were coming up, so YouTube was pushing it. This was long before any of the algorithm got hold of it and started blocking it and pushing it down. So back in them days, it was very scarce information, but the very few information people would just concentrate on and go over and over again. There's like 10, 20 questions. It's nothing like Eric DeBay's 100 proofs or anything like that. But there are many memes, let's say, made in favor and not in favor of the flat Earth that were discussed on those forums. And I would certainly 100%, and I would 100% say, I don't blame anyone for seeing me for the first time and saying, yeah, that guy's a flat earther. Because if you were to see that and weren't to know my history or weren't to know or have even seen a debate, you would automatically assume, yeah, you're a flat earther. But I'm not. I'm what I call a Mac earther. Okay.
Wait, okay. So back then, all right, so let me take people back now. Yeah. Probably about 2016, you know what I mean? Fubar, exactly that. Where I used to do Mice Investigates. And one of the investigations was probably to do with some kind of conspiracy or something. And then, you know, at that time, people would comment, you know, put their comments in and whatnot, and it would probably last like maybe 2 days. There was one, it was one. And it's like, because even my coach, my Muay Thai coach was involved in it. And he was like, bruv, when we went on a trip to go training, everybody was like, oh, bruv, man, that comment, you must have been getting, your phone must have been going off. Because it went on for like, possibly 2 weeks. They were still debating about this shit for 2 weeks. And it was mainly to do with Gleem saying that the earth was flat, from what I remember. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So back then,
100%.
were you a Mac earther then, or were you were fully like
Look,
on flat ground?
just to get the switch over point that said to me that embarrassed me, and I don't mind admitting it because I'm a fool. I'm a fool, and I'm a fool for thinking this. And to get onto, and this perfectly marries it up to the David Weiss thing, is that, and I will not disrespect David Weiss in any way, shape, or form. There are many, many accusations of him and so on, but I have nothing but respect for him because he's one of the leaders in the flat Earth side. I have multiple respects for the globe Earth leaders, and they know this. I mean, some of them have bought my music and play it regularly, and it's like, at the end of the day, there are certain things, if I were to tell you as a human, that I could make you believe just for a minute before you look into it. Now, there's certain ways I can frame something and make you visualize something that will lock you into a certain belief. And it's not tricking you because possibly I believe that, if you know what I mean. So I'm still on the sentiment that I believe that. But there was one thing which I got completely ripped about on this forum, which made me stop and do two things. And this is what I said to you. It's pretty sinister. Or half of it is pretty sinister. Yeah. One is I got completely embarrassed by somebody who was a professional pilot. Okay. For those in the scene, it wasn't Wolfie, but it was on Nathan's forum. And the question was, if you can remember, David brought up the point that if you're on an airplane, they bend their nose. Let's pretend this pair of scissors is an airplane. They bend their nose, tilt their nose slightly up by about 3 degrees. Everybody normally does a 45 degree, but it's 3 degrees from there. And it's not because I'm drunk. It's probably about that. About that. Seriously, from there.
Are you drunk?
To there. No, get the police, and they can come round and test my system. And they will only get herbs. No, I'm joking. Anyway, so getting back to the point. So they get the ball, and excuse the Chelsea, it's my son. He supports Chelsea. Either way, Kenneth in the chat. I don't know if anyone knows, but me and Kenneth grew up together. Kenneth in the chat. Your old man, Chelsea. There we go. Either way. Plane points his nose up. The flat Earth argument is, why doesn't it fly off into space? Yeah. Seems perfectly logical, because if you're flying over a flat surface with your nose pointed up, you can just surf it, let's say.
Oh, what? Well, this is the thing. Wouldn't it go up as well? Why would it not still go up on a flat Earth?
Cruising. And this is the trick. This is the trick. You already know the secret magician thing. Come on,
yeah,
let me explain
go on.
it. So so the trick is, it's not a trick. It's not a trick. I will say it's, people believe this, and I'm not saying it's stupid. I'm saying that I now believe that I was a fool for believing that this is the case. And you got globe Earth, and this is the flat Earthers argument, because it's pointed up, and you're just carrying on. It's going to keep on going up into space eventually. Yeah, because the Earth is dropping away from you. Now, a common globe Earthers argument before even this logical thing, a lot of globe Earthers answer this by saying, no, gravity pulls it equally and it will just keep on going round, exactly like that. However, this pilot that embarrassed me on this forum literally switched me over to, right, I'm not going to become a flat earther just yet. And I'll get onto the sinister bit, but I've got to let you know what he said.
Good.
He said, Gleem, you're a fool. The reason why that plane is up there in the first place is because it had to, obviously with the wings and the airlift equation and whatnot, it got up there in the first place. However, the main core reason it's there is because of these thrusters in the back. Now, if you cut the thrusters, what happens? And I obviously went back to him, you'd fall. You go back down to earth. And he goes, exactly. So all I have to do is a scale thing. All I have to do is take my foot off the gas, and it turns out that all he has to do is slow down by about 5 miles an hour per X amount of miles. Yeah, and instead of going off into space, he'll just naturally keep on falling, as described with the old moon and the ISS constantly falling to Earth but missing it. That's because they have forward trajectory enough to overcome the actual darting off into space. And obviously gravity, then you go on to gravity, and that's a whole new ball game. That's a good analogy. I like that.
I like how you did that, boy. Okay, so that's the argument with that, is that basically the planes
just take their foot off the gas and they will naturally drop to Earth.
And then after that, and so that had you choked up in this battle, basically, if we were going to put it into a hip-hop analogy.
I was done. And it was one of them realization points that I was having fun. I was having a bit of fun with it, in as much to say that a couple of people couldn't answer a couple of things. I heard one hilarious thing, which I've got to tell people. There's a few hilarious things that I've heard, but I heard from this Scottish girl. She said literally, and there are very few UK people involved back then, but this one Scottish girl said to me, "Don't be silly. Electricity wasn't around before man invented it." And what was the guy over in America with the kite? Oh, I forget his name. Jack's got his name, but either way, it's not Abraham Lincoln, it's the other guy.
Oh, you're on about what with the apple and all that?
No, that's Newton, the American guy with a kite. He was the original guy who thought of the equations or electricity in the atmosphere because of lightning and stuff like that, and he wanted to analyze it. So he sent a kite up.
Is it Ben Franklin? Oh, yeah, that's it. Shout out to Mount Jarvis. Exactly yes, you're more. Wow.
Yeah, exactly
okay.
That. So she literally said that electricity wasn't around before Franklin invented it. And it was like, really? Are people really this? And I hate to say thick, because it's not thick. It's just more reactionary, I think.
Can I ask you something then?
Go on.
Why do they have like a flat? Pilots apparently they use like a flat Earth style map or something, form of navigation in it, or
scale. I've got many citations here that if you need to see them, I can drop them, and you can drop them somewhere and whatnot. But I've got hundreds of citations, literally hundreds of citations of NASA themselves using the flat Earth model at satellite level with great success. Their actual words, I think, are flat Earth modeling is more desirable to the spherical modeling process. Now, that is their exact words. And,
what the hell is that, man? What does that mean, man?
Now, exactly that. That is one thing that you could look at that and you could say, fuck, yeah, what the hell is that? Why is NASA, these people that the flat earthers are saying are trying to hide the flat Earth, why are they actually saying, they literally prefer to use the flat Earth model over the spherical Earth model because it's much easier. Yeah. Now, when you look into it, and there's loads of military documents, air documents, David cited loads of these last time, but there are loads of like Air Force documents that put it this way: you got a route to and gain an understanding on each topic in order to get to the logic of how ridiculous some things can be. And you need to filter out all that crap. And the logic of this is that if I was to say to you, right, go away, I want before the end of the week, I need a flight path or a flight trajectory system in an aircraft where you need to be able to go forward, back, up, down, let's say, with these wings that do that and then can allow you to go up, down. You need to go all these axes, yeah? Now you've got a week to do it. Now, in order to do all the sums for that, Yeah, if you do it, and let's say they've got a test area of 2 miles. Yeah. Now the average is 8 inches per square mile. Now 16 inches across the whole thing, which is actually only 8 in the middle, but 8 inches, we'll even say maximum 16 inches in the middle as a curve. That's not going to matter to an aircraft right the way up there. That curve of just 16 is minuscule. It's nothing. It's like a hill. A hill's not going to matter to a massive aircraft up in the sky. So they use Cartesian coordinate systems, aka flat Earth coordinate systems, and assume that the Earth is flat. Don't care about any curvature because it doesn't matter. By the time we're zooming over the Earth, yeah, we can relax our brakes to account for this curve if needs be, which doesn't actually add up. When you look through the maths of it, you don't actually have to ease off your foot that much to account for this slow curving. That's all it is. It's scale thing. It's a scale thing.
That's interesting.
But yeah, you got to pick apart. You got to pick apart the logic, and now let me get onto the sinister part. The sinister part of why you think I'm a flat earther is because I promote the flat.
No, I've changed your title now.
Yeah, I don't actually deny the flat earth. I will say.
Okay, all right. Let me change it to this one then. How about this one?
That'll do. Principle centrist. That'll do. And that will actually, in all honesty, that has. We were talking in the pre-show, and the family out there won't actually know this, but we were talking about Einstein and how he plagiarized a lot of stuff, where he got his stuff. And I again, I've got to say, I give him credit. The guy was actually smart. Yeah, the smartest man alive and ever been. Very questionable, but he was smart. The guy was smart. I mean, throughout his years of university, let's just say the guy was a patent clerk to start with, and throughout his years of university, he went to university because his missus was a physicist. His first wife was a physicist. Now the joke goes, he loved relativity so much that his second wife was his first cousin.
Jesus.
Facts, by the way. Facts. That is actual facts.
Okay. Bloodline. Anyway, that's some bloodline shit, boy.
That is some keep it in the Jewish line family.
Right.
That's how it rolls. But anyway,
we're trying not to get banned.
Yeah.
We're not sure about that. It's already touchy on the flat earth. You know what I mean? Let's not go full Alex Jones.
Is it touchy though? That's the thing. Is it touchy on the flat earth? Like, okay,
of
so
course. You search anything flat earth in YouTube now, you're confronted with 10 pages of CNN and all their rhetoric debunking it.
And you get the wiki thing at the bottom of the page now saying flat earth is a denied theory.
Always.
It says archaic. It says something about it being archaic and whatnot.
That can actually help it, in all honesty.
Yeah, what does that mean, man? When they're saying that, what does that mean? And what are you trying to...
Well, it gives you the whole history, the history of when the Hellenic period come in and the globe Earth took over. So it urges you.
Yeah, but it's not denying it. It's just saying that it's an old theory.
No, it is denying it.
Oh, it is denying it.
In Wikipedia, it does deny it. And it does recognize, and this is the core thing that leads people on. If you were to click that link and then read the bottom passage, it tells you all about the modern resurgence. So, and it drops names, so it gives you more opportunity to research it. Put it that way.
Yeah, but what do you reckon the click-through rate is from YouTube to Wikipedia? I reckon it's probably about 5%.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think most people just see that thing and they're like, it must be bullshit then. You know, you just see that thing on Wikipedia.
Shout out to Weird Toad said Wikipedia.
It is a bit weird. It is a bit weird. I mean, back in our day, we had the encyclopedias, innit? Everyone had the old encyclopedias, the Raw Dog, Oxford, or something like that. And I don't know. It's source of knowledge has become, and that's my big thing. Source of knowledge has become man's mouth, and that's it.
Yeah,
and that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Whatever I write today. I always say facts are time dependent. So whatever I write today could be proven wrong in the future with new information. And from Richard Feynman's point of view, from lectures that I've watched of his, that is the essence of science, as he says. That no matter what we conjure up, no matter what equations we dream up and whatnot, literally, if it doesn't match reality, an experiment, then it's wrong. Yeah, and we can't have this confidence or overconfidence to say, yeah, we are the dictator of what happens. It isn't. Nature is the dictator. We're just recording her. And that's the core thing in this flat Earth, globe Earth argument, where I step in and I think, yeah, okay, you can understand that there are some flat earthers who've gone full into the flat Earth belief, and there are some ridiculous things that they have said. And there's some things that have been put in the limelight in a bad light, a very bad light, like the Netflix documentary and a couple of other documentaries and a good few big channels that have put it in a real bad light, in as much as you are almost retarded to actually believe the flat Earth. And that's kind of where I draw the line in behavioral sort of like, I'm not having that. And this is where the sinister part comes in, where I truly believe, I realized that moment where I got schooled by this pilot. Yeah. I realized Dunning-Kruger effect. That's what it truly is. Everyone gets accused of that in the actual debate. But Dunning-Kruger effect is just basically overestimating your actual ability and just thinking that you know something you don't. Yeah, and it's not your specialist topic. You haven't really looked into it that much, but you're commenting on it as if you've got some sort of authority. And that was me. That was me against this pilot. And this pilot shut me down with logic, pure logic and pure truth. That works in my eyes. So
how did you know it was truth? Like, how did you know it was logical and it was true? Like, without, because you obviously you hadn't. The thing that he got you with is that you're not a pilot, so you can't really. But then even after, you're still not a pilot, and you can't confirm what he said. So, but what was it that made you say yes?
It was more, and this is the Mac Earth side of things, and I'll let you know that in a second. But this is the key point. It was more of him releasing me from the fact of being so overconfident in questioning him. Yeah, I didn't know he was a pilot to start with, but I jumped on him, being so overconfident, going, yeah, so the nose points up. Why isn't it going off into space? Ha! Sort of like thing, as if I got him. And it was that attitude. And I thought to myself then straight away, now you've got to drop that attitude, because you're going to get embarrassed even more by shit you don't know. This isn't your topic, Gleem. You're not a pilot. And the disclaimer was, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a professional in anything other than coding. That's all I do. I do a little bit of coding and a little bit of 3D modeling. But essentially,
go on. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, essentially, the sinister part come in that I was like, well, wait there. I couldn't, and it was exactly that. I'm not a pilot. I can't prove him wrong. I can't prove myself right. However, that seems more logical than a fucking plane flying off into space. If you're talking such a massive, vast thing. So you opt for the most logical one. It's kind of like the, what's the old, I can't even remember.
What's that?
It's the thing you should never use in science, but that was used on ether, where I can't even remember. But it's basically where you use philosophy instead of experiment for your science. So
you're theorizing, basically.
I apologize dearly. I'm getting old, right? So my memory banks are not SSD anymore. They're HHD. You'll recognize it now when I say it. It's Occam's razor.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, my mind's just obviously everywhere. But either way, using Occam's razor to say, yeah, in fact, that is the simplest solution. That instead of flying off into space, the guy just has to lift his foot, or the machine, the cruise control, has to just say, wait there a minute, I'm going a bit too high. I've been told to stay at this altitude. Drop your thrusters a little tiny fraction. Yeah, enough to over a couple of minutes, then drop back down. So it's like that logic overrid the logic that I was fighting for. Of no, it's going to go into space. It's going to fly off Earth.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. No, I understand that.
And this is, it's not the trick, but this is the thing that sold it to me. The scale. I've got a football and I've got a pair of scissors, and it was a similar thing used. And it's like, yeah, of course, it looks like it, like this, but you got to imagine that if it's actually Earth, this is a globe Earth too. from that massive perspective. Yeah, you know what I mean? A plane is only 100 foot long or something like that.
Yeah,
so this is only 300 foot, so it's gonna look flat as hell.
Yeah,
on scale. So to get back to and cross off the T's and the I's with the, why do we see loads of papers from NASA and the military all using the flat Earth model saying it's successful? Yes, because if I was to now say to you, right, you need to do those same calculations, but I need every single thing accounted for. What I need is wind. What I need is the spin of the Earth. What I need is the curve of the Earth. And then what they'll do is they'll spend a day doing each topic, and you'll end up with a massive formula as long as your bloody arm to just say, right, the effect of the curvature of Earth on this experiment across a mile is nothing, literally nothing. It has no effect on this plane up there doing maneuvers and stuff if they were doing acrobatics and trying to figure out maneuvers. Yeah. So that curve under the Earth means nothing. Let's remove all that day's worth of work to try and calculate it all, and let's just use a flat Earth model and assume the Earth is flat. It's a very valid statement to say the flat Earth model has advanced science quicker. And it's just basically a shortcut, a mathematical shortcut to say, we don't need to include all of these things that we found out about the globe Earth.
Yeah, flat Earth denier for real.
Yeah, because that literally will squash all the reasoning of doing this flying in midair, because you don't even need to, when you're actually flying in the air, you don't even need to know about the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it is an XYZ system, a Cartesian coordinate system, which is a flat Earth coordinate system, which,
all right.
I mean, it's logics in my eyes. In my eyes, that's more logical.
All right, let's get some questions in from the comment section, and we'll build them up for a bit later, because you can see like it's getting a bit heated. Shout out to Martin Haley, shout out to PLK, I am, shout out to Yamor, Weird Tone, Lawrence Limburger. We salute all you mother lovers locked in. Smoker, Teddy T. Did I say that right? Smoker. Hey, let's do a roll call, boy, by the way, man. Roll call. Shout out to Mount Jarvis. What you lot blazing out there, man? If you lot, get down. Yeah, man.
Marmalade and blue cheese me up.
Oh, you're on the marmalade, yeah? Jeez. I got some, I didn't get to go shopping because I've been traveling, but I got some OG shark. Still got the OG shark in. Got some key lime pie. Well, there's some ice cream cake. Yeah.
Ice cream cake kush. Or is it...
Nah. It's just, well, it could be, could be some kush in there, but no. Actually, I don't think there's a kush blend in there, but yeah, man, ice cream cake's all right. It's good sativa. Yeah, man. Who you lot showing off about there? Skittles.
Kisser, Skittles.
Ooh, Kenneth Snowbud. All right.
Oh, Smoker has got the
Star Dog. Ooh. Yeah, the Star Dog. I mean, blaze that, and you get different. There's different.
Mount Jarvis, some of the darkest
tones
hard
of it.
ash.
Ooh, it's going hard with the ash, boy. Watch out for the hot rocks, boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the pox. Right, you're more just finish off some Skittles. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Roll call. We're right here talking about some shit you might not never know nothing about. And it's getting deep because obviously, like we said, Gleem is one of the fam. And he's, as far as I knew, he's down with the whole flat Earth idea from way back. And I've seen, you know what I mean? Like I said, 2 weeks, comments were going back and forth, arguing about this shit. Do you know what I mean? And it always popped up as well in life. I've always, you know, someone mentioned it here and there. But the last time I had a proper like heated sort of debate about it was with a guest we've had before, Luke Hardy. He's an actor, a porn star actually. You know, he's an actor, but yeah, he also does a bit of that action. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he's a flat earther. You know what I mean? We went back and forth about it for about 2-3 hours. And in the end, we were both like, I said to him, look, you can't prove that it's flat. And he's like, you can't prove that it's round. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, he's right. And that had me thinking, like, right.
Done like
and I was like, how do I prove?
Yeah. Together.
It's like,
and it's just like, bros.
Yeah, bros.
That is perfect.
Angry bros as well. Like, we look at each other all angry, but passionate, angry and that. Like, yeah. And from then I was like, right, you know what? I need to look at this shit because I don't know. I actually don't, and I don't know how I could prove it either. I don't know how either way. And you know, there's so many different bits and bobs come up in terms of arguments that have you thinking. And so you know, like I said, you deep in there, deep in the trenches, debating back and forth on comment sections, you know what I mean, with people about this on Facebook, in groups, you know, like you said, groups that are built up to about 120,000 of you lot, flat
Exactly,
earth and globe earthers going back and forth with each other. And so you stepped away, you know what I mean, from...
It was more that group. That group was, I mean, it got toxic. It got real toxic in as much as...
Was it egos and all that?
Yeah, the Nathan guy done a couple of things that I didn't like. So I distanced myself from that group. But already by that time, you had... There's this one channel called Non Sequitur Show. And it's a pretty big channel in as much as they do debates across the spectrum, from atheists versus any religion, basically. Aaron Ra was a regular on there who's big in the atheist scene. But essentially, they were begging out. They had a Saturday night show that they were doing called Flaturday Night Show. And it was literally Flat Earther versus Globe Earther. And someone had suggested me, they'd emailed me, and then that person who suggested me literally come to me and said, oh, I thought you'd like the suggestion, so I done it for you. Can you do it for me? You know what I mean? And it was kind of like, go on then, I'll give it a go. You know what I mean? As if to say, yeah, I've got the balls enough to do it. Didn't have the balls enough to show my face. But either way, done it, or got on the actual show. And it is actually, as I say before, my presentation that I had there was in dedication to that certain person that I debated called Schrodinger's cat. And he unfortunately passed away in February. And it was a big loss to the Globe Earther scene. Salute to him either way, Cliff Overby. He's a massive loss to the scene because he was a big proponent. So
the Globe Earther thing, because you're saying it like, yeah, so there's literally like, there are people that are out to prove that the Earth is a globe.
Yes, and prove flat Earthers wrong.
And is that their main objective, is just to prove flat Earthers wrong? Because it is kind of, you know, you wouldn't think that there would be a bunch of people going, no, we're going to campaign to prove that it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird in a way, because then it gives the flat Earth idea more credence, innit? It gives it more sort of...
Not really. There are a lot of not parody channels. They're actual well-respected people, let's say, and educated people who have set up channels to combat flat Earth-ism. Now, I'll drop a few names because they are worth a mention, but you've got the likes of Conspiracy Cats, who was a high school teacher. He literally set up his channel, Conspiracy Cats and Baldy Cats, to combat the flat Earth scene. Absolutely hilarious. Okay, and I'll say that with anything that he touches, he just goes, he's a wacky one, and he's a bit childish with it, but he's I don't know, I think he was more aiming at his high school students because he was getting a lot of questions from them. Yeah, so he was like, right, I need to squash this. A lot of the kids are coming to me asking me this stupid stuff, so I need to explain it with actual science. And he did. He went through the actual science, went through the correct, so to say, GCSE level. In fact, he actually had a flat earther on his channel take a GCSE test with him, of which the flat earther passed. So either way, so you have conspiracy cats, baldy cats, very, very predominant on the scene. However, not one of the biggest. The biggest one is Simon Dan, if you've ever heard of him. And I know the likes of Professor Dave and stuff have done the odd video on Flat Earth, but Simon Dan's channel is set up to combat Flat Earth. And he owns a company which is an educational tutorial company. So he's in the education sector, put it that way. So he has a clue, and he's doing an astronomy degree or something like that. But these channels are more out of frustration. They thought, oh, there's so much flat earth stuff going on. This was well before the algorithm kicked in, obviously. So much flat earth stuff going on. We've got to do something about this. And you get across to this one guy who I've got to salute in the same way, called Professor Phil Bell. Professor Phil Bell, again, another predominant qualified person on the scene. He actually works for ISRO, the Indian Space Agency, and he launches the satellites with them. And he does a lot of videos in the same way, debunking all the perspective, debunking particular photos and what's known as the black swan. A lot of his stuff is very, very basic rhetoric, and a lot of their stuff is mockery. That's all it is. They've built their names off of mockery. And what they'll do is they'll literally show snippets of flat earthers saying something out of context and literally take the piss out of that for years and made their living off of it. Because, I mean, David Weiss mentioned a couple of names and he was actually in your chat, but Bob Nodell. Bob Nodell is one of those 5 top boys of the flat earth scene. He's Globebusters, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, Globebusters. Yeah, I saw that name.
Now, Bob is in the Netflix documentary. He is the one that's saying 15 degrees per hour. Okay, now I've been on Bob's channel and we've had an hour-long discussion on why he's actually valid in science terms to actually believe that that's not the spin of the earth turning that 15 degrees per hour, that device 15 degrees per hour. If you've ever heard of an old scientist called George Sagnac, the Sagnac effect, he is basically the man behind ring laser gyro. They all use the Sagnac effect of where you send 2 beams of light and round a circuit, and whichever way it tilts, you can get a disproportionate measure in the speed of light one side versus the other side. Yeah, and if it's in motion, the same thing, speed of light going this way should be different to the speed of light going the other way. They found this not to be the case. However, George Sagnac, who was well respected, believed this was due to the ether. Yeah, which we can get into a little bit later, but the ether is basically gravity. Yeah, due to gravity, we cannot measure any difference in the speed of light going one direction to the other when in motion. Okay, because there is this thing called length contraction and time dilation, which is part of Einstein's original relativity. So either way, the core of me being who I say I am, which is a Mac Earther, and that very first debate, I actually enter it not as Gleem, but Mac Earth, and then in brackets, AKA Gleem. Yeah. Now, Mac Earth comes from Ernst Mach, Have you ever heard the name of? You must have heard the Mach numbers: Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach
Oh
3.
yeah.
Yeah, he is the guy that his system is built.
Right. Okay.
Ernst Mach was well respected by Einstein. Ernst Mach is the last of the traditional scientists, experimental scientists, should I say. Mach was the inventor of relativity, and he's the thing that core concept, and I wouldn't say plagiarized at all, but Einstein took that core concept and in public facing actually accredited relativity, the whole principle of relativity, on Mach. So much so he called it Mach's principle. And Mach's principle is it doesn't matter if you are static, if you choose a frame of reference that's static on the Earth, and think of it as the Earth is not moving and everything else is spinning around you, that will come and equate to exactly the same maths as if you now go to the sun and everything is revolving around it, and that is stationary in its position in time. And that is the essence of relativity. No matter where you go, all the maths should marry up to all look the same to each observer.
Okay.
Yeah. So relativity is basically saying it doesn't matter what you consider moving and if you consider yourself stationary on an object. If everything else is moving, that's fine. But you can also go on to one of those objects that are moving and consider the Earth is moving and you're stationary on that object, and your math should all work out the same. It's still the same universe, still the same planets going around the same thing. Yeah. So all the maths must work out correct, and it must be relative. And that was Mach's first conjecture. That was he literally, his analogy was you stand out in a field, you look up to the stars, and you open out your arms and you spin around in a big circle. He said, who is actually moving? You in a circle, or is the whole universe you moving around a stationary you? And that was his kind of trigger that triggered Einstein into moving down the relativity route. Yeah. So Mach, yeah. Now Mach,
getting deep,
Mach was a realist, and that's who I consider I am. There's a couple of things that we don't gel on and whatnot, but in essence, Mach disagreed with Einstein and the likes of Planck to say that the subatomic realm exists. So Mach was very much if I can't see it, I don't believe it. Yeah, if you can't show it me in experiment, I don't give a shit about it. There's no point even talking to me about it. And he was old school. So he was kind of like the Nobel Prize winner top boy of his day back in the 1900s. And no one could test him, if you know what I mean. It was sort of like it took a lot to override him, similar to Newton. It took a lot for Einstein to override Newton. Yeah, it took him years. But Mach himself actually he flitted. He basically come round to the idea as soon as evidence started becoming available for the subatomic realm. But up until then, he was a purist scientist to say, if I can't feel it, if I can't touch it, if I can't experiment with it, don't talk to me about it. There's no point. That's for mathematicians. That's for theoretical world. I'm an experimental scientist. We deal with reality. We deal with shit you can touch, move, push, feel, force, and all that stuff. So in my world, Matt come from the point of view that nothing really can be proven in that fact, and everything is relative. So whatever opinion you'll have on something, I can have another opinion and it can be almost as valid. Yeah, even if some of our theories, like you have a theory and some of it does match more than mine. Now, practically, that means that your theory is correct. But in essence, it doesn't mean yours is absolutely correct, because information in 10 years' time could come out that my theory was actually the correct one because I had this particular thing in my formula, which means that calculated perfect and yours went all out of kilter. Yeah, so it's
So you're
much
saying
more
nothing is certain, nothing is exact, nothing is.
exactly that. And when you delve into science, you'll understand. If you look up the likes of Ludwig Boltzmann, Boltzmann is a massive, massive person in the thermodynamics, the law of thermodynamics. Not a lot of people know this, and not a lot of flat earthers know this. This is another thing that flat earthers kind of used, not knowing that back in the 1930s, just before all the quantum stuff come in, this was all changed. Everything was changed. We all know now that nothing is absolute. Nothing in science is absolute. No law of science, more importantly, is absolute. And it was Ludwig Boltzmann's change to the second law of thermodynamics, which states entropy must always increase. That was literally the statement. And there's a lot deeper to that. But in essence, it says that if you have a system of order that explodes, similar to the Big Bang, and it goes into a state of entropy, and that state of entropy is disorder from that order. And Ludwig Boltzmann's whole thing was, he had this thing called the universe in a box. And what happened is, he imagined the Big Bang to happen, all the bits of matter banged out, but because it was surrounded in a box, it hit the box and come back. And what he said, due to statistical mechanics, and that's the field of science that he then developed or then produced mainly. Statistical mechanics means that could be 1,500,000,000 years from now, but at some point there will be a point where all of that matter will coagulate back into one lump sum. Yeah, the law of probability says that it cannot infinitely go on forever, bounce all different ways, all the different fragments bounce in all different ways, and never, ever then join back again. There's got to be a certain point where entropy reverses itself and becomes order again. Yeah, so put it this way, if you look into science in that particular topic of the second law of thermodynamics, the most amount of scientists have committed suicide because they've suggested this many a times, saying saying, please don't take the laws of physics. I shit you not, it's the most deadly science to be a professor or a high scholar in. And check me out. It is a recorded fact. It's one of the mysteries that always gets recorded, that why is working on the second law of thermodynamics always drive you crazy and into suicide? Because there's been so many, about 6 or 7 years, but Ludwig Boltzmann was the most predominant.
All right, so what's with the go on, sorry.
Yeah, he commits suicide because everyone was saying, you can't say that, the laws of physics are the laws of physics. They always work. They'll always be the same. Yeah, and it turned out when quantum mechanics come into play, sorry, Newton's laws don't actually work down here. From what we're observing and physically seeing and calculating, it's not working.
And that's also takes us back to the Sheldrake 10 questions, because those 10 questions are like presumptions that everyone makes about the laws of physics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he's just saying that, like, they're not necessarily all fixed, and that, like, there is some leeway in some of these laws that people think are laws, because they can be broken occasionally. Like you said, the speed of light, you know.
Yeah.
It's variables.
There was one point in time in the 50s or so when the speed of light changed all around the world, wasn't there? It sort of changed speed, and everyone recorded it, and so they said, what we're going to do is going to fix the speed of light at a certain speed.
And that's exactly it.
And everyone has to use that measurement. Yeah.
All right. So how would you explain, you know, what's the reason for the pictures, you know, the NASA pictures of the Earth, you know, as a globe or whatnot?
Well, you got 2 sets.
There's 2 sets.
There's 2 sets. There's 2 sets. What you have is you have satellite pictures or pictures from the ISS. Pictures from the ISS, photographs, that is physical land. That is similar to taking a photo exactly on Earth. However, when you work out the maths and see how far the ISS is away from Earth, you're only actually seeing, if you shone a torch, like your field of view would reveal how much you're seeing of Earth. It's about 3%. So if you were to get this ball, it would be a little bit bigger than this logo here. So you're the ISS right in the middle, and that's as far as you can see of Earth, 3% of it. So number one, any pictures of any curvature from the ISS, literally effects of the lens and effects of perspective. And I'll say that with confidence, in as much as you can take it as, yeah, that's the curve of Earth. But all lenses, I mean, you can see it in their cupola. They've got this, it's called the cupola, which you must have all seen it. It's the lookout post that they all look out upwards, and then you can see the Earth looking down on it. So they're upside down, looking down. Now that is fully admitted to be fisheye lens. They want that effect going on in that particular cupola because they want to see the maximum field of view that they can. So they fisheye it. That's the best way how to do it. So yes, you get fisheye, and then you analyze what cameras are on the outside of the ISS, and they're all fisheye GoPros. So either way, regardless, I will say 100% knowledge. I know that the cameras are all showing some sort of fisheye lens. Whether there is curvature underneath that, I don't know, because I haven't got a normal camera, And even you can say, obviously, they've got cameras up there, physical, massive, long cameras with massive, long telephoto zooms. And again, a similar thing. They're kind of accentuating the effect when they're zooming in on the horizon. And if you see the pictures, some of the pictures where they zoom in, it's completely flat. This is debunking the flat Earth to basically say, look, it looks flat, and it was perfectly flat. And then they show a zoomed out picture, and it's actually fully curved.
What now, of you're saying of a video of globe of a picture
of a NASA photo from the ISS? Yeah, looking at Earth, and it's fully curved, taking up 3/4 of the a full curve going 3/4 of the page. So but then you can also pull out ones where the actual solar panels are fully curved as well, and they're straight in real life. So it kind of goes against, well, put it this way, it doesn't go against
a picture or video,
photos.
Oh, photo.
Yeah, photo from the GoPros outside, and they're just GoPros, and you see that if I was the photo here of Earth, then the actual solar panels come out as if they're straight here, and then they bend around the side of the screen. And it's not to say that that's a conspiracy. They've been put up there on fact by that pure facet that the GoPro has of seeing the much wider view. That's what they want to do. They want to show the general public the much wider view. So flat earthers do have an argument, say, yeah, they're showing GoPros up there, but at the end of the day, that's what they're there for. And there are other cameras up there that have taken photos, but you can say half of it's elements of perspective, cloud coverage, all this. There's so many instances in an actual photo that can mess up all your calculations. The actual lens itself is so impractical to do calculations and measurements from anyway. Yeah, there's this whole field of science called photogrammetry, and you will never catch a photogrammetrist ever saying, yeah, I take one photo and that's all I need. I can figure out everything from there. They have to take hundreds of photos around the building site or whatever they're doing to get every angle, to get every perspective, every measurement tip top, and still then they've got to account for additional error. But that's one type. So photos, I don't believe that they're manipulated as in the chick photos. I actually do believe the ISS is up there, or could be up there. You know what I mean? It can fully well be up there. People could be in that tin can. It doesn't matter.
So it could be up there. So you have doubts.
With a flat Earth. and there be a flat Earth. Yeah, it could work on both models. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So even flat earthers denying it. There is a shout out to Ali B. There's Ali B, a flat earther, predominant flat earther, Scottish guy, brazen as hell. I love him. That's why he just shoots people down. It's funny. But Ali B literally is a believer in the moon landings and a believer of the ISS, but not a believer of globe Earth.
Are you a believer of the moon landings?
Oh, that's a question from Martin Haley.
Nah, I wouldn't say I'm a disbeliever or not believer. I think my Libra and the Mac Earth in me comes out and says,
"Oh, you Libra."
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
No.
The soul thing, or the soul thing. If there's anything or one thing that you can ever learn from me or any of this experience, it's that me personally, myself, I haven't done a degree. I haven't done a science degree. I cannot tell you that I can prove to you that a certain belief is the correct one. Yeah, I can't say to you, definitely flat Earth is the one. That is it. You've got to go for that. Or conversely, I can't say it's definitely a globe Earth. There's no way it could be a flat Earth. I don't know. And I haven't done the test, and I ain't bothering going to do the test. All I know is that there's a lot of people out there that are on either one of them sides that basically say, I know with absolute 100% certainty that Earth is flat. And there's others on the others saying the same thing. We all know it's 100% a globe. And not one of them know a single thing. The single question that I always used to ask people is, okay, what experiment did you do that conclusively proved that with absolute certainty that I can repeat as well? And no one's ever got one. No one will ever have one. There is no one. Science don't work like that. There is no conclusive, yep, this will definitely produce this result every time without fail.
Yeah.
Even binary options don't work, even your name. And that was one of the questions. It was one of the questions that I'd formulated 10 questions, and as much to say I sympathize with flat Earth, mainly because a lot of stuff they get right. And the core first one is that does the mainstream media and mainstream science lie about the shape of the Earth? Now, it's gut instinct for everyone to say, nah, of course they, why would they need to lie? That's stupid. However, you go straight to a massive video, National Geographic. They do a video, and it's not Dave Wise in there.
No, it's that other guy, and you're on about the
Stephen something, is it?
Was it Stephen something?
No, Smart.
And he what was it?
Jeranism as well. Either way, Jeranism was the guy with the light in the documentary of Netflix. But Jeranism as well. Jeranism was on that beach when they're taking they basically got a camera right down low at about 1 foot off sea level, and they've got a ship going in, or a boat going into the distance on a lake, and they've got this big black and white red flag. That what they're intending to do is show that the back of the boat, as Aristotle said, and as the genuine main debunk of flat Earth goes, we can see ships going over the curve. Yeah. So what they do is they literally film it, watch it go out, and yes, you can see the bottom of the flag clearly get covered up.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people see is that, and then the actual turns to the camera people who are doing it. So what could cause that? And it's like, there could be nothing that could cause that other than the curvature of Earth. And then it hits you once you actually look into it, that in the background, there's a much higher horizon with water there. And what that in fact is just a mere wave over the front of the actual flag, sort of like a wave bobbing up, as if it was like that. And it's covering the bottom of the flag. And they're literally saying that is the curve of the Earth. When you can see up higher in the background here, that there is more water, which means that that isn't the curve of the Earth, or there'd be no more water there. It'd be beyond the curve of the Earth, hidden behind this front curve, in the same way that this flag is. So it's a blatant lie. And to think, once you actually click on that and you go, okay, well, wait there. Yeah, these flat earthers are saying that science are lying about it. And that's a lie. They're blatantly saying that that is the curve of the Earth, and it can't be. Perspective dictates that it cannot be. Even if there was so much refraction that you had 2 humps, it's impossible. And then you think this is National Geographic, and it's called Flat Earth versus Globe Earth Explorer or something.
Yeah.
And you think these are big boys. They're not obviously the Einsteins of this world, but they are who represent science to the mainstream. They are America's TV science channels, and same over here as well, really, if you've got Sky and cable and whatnot. But in a sense, you think to yourself, right, okay, what happens in a TV production? That goes from those guys there who's just took all that footage, that goes to an editing studio. They get it all into the 2-hour documentary, whatever it is. Then it goes to an editor, or QA, let's say, to quality assure the clippings of the actual clips and the transitions and stuff. Then it goes to an editor. Editor signs it off, bang. Then they release it out on YouTube and all on TV and everything like that, just to show the flat earthers up. It's got 5 million views on YouTube. So 5 million people have seen that. Let's say 100% of them are globe earthers. They've all looked at that and they've all gone, yeah, look, why are flat earthers so stupid? They can see that's the curve of the Earth. And it's easy to do without looking into it. So they have a point. Flat earthers definitely have a point that mainstream media, not like we didn't know that mainstream media lied.
Yeah.
And it's like we're attacking flat earthers, saying, no, look at this mainstream media. And there's another one with Stephen Hawking as well.
So
similar.
I think for me, that's the crux of a lot of these arguments, is that they say, when I say they, I mean flat earthers, they say, yeah, but they're lying to us. And it's like, well, wasn't you aware of that before? I can understand if you feel conned because you thought that they was telling you the truth all your life. So I can understand. That's the first thing people do when they realise that they've been lied to, is they get angry and they get upset. And it's anger at your own stupidity of not actually looking at the facts yourself or the data yourself and just trusting blindly loads of other people to tell you how the world is. Which is
very hard to wake up to.
It is. It's really hard to admit that you might have been stupid for a long time. And so I can understand why a lot of it. And if you look at the way they talk to people, is that they're very aggressive about things, they're very angry about stuff, and it's all unresolved anger, as far as I'm concerned.
It is exactly that.
Anyway, yeah. So someone's asking about paying money to go and get a plane in the air, and whether people put money. So, do you know anything about people putting money together to put a plane in the air to prove once and for all the Earth's flat or not?
Let me cite a globe earther. Okay, it's a well-known thing. If you've been in the scene, you'd know this. Well-known globe earther, Greater Sapien, his name is. He put together a fundraiser for all his subs and whatnot. Got probably about 30,000 subs back in the day. They got 20,000 bucks up. They paid for a flight to Antarctica.
They paid for a flight.
Yep, it was literally all of his subs, let's say, all put in a GoFundMe, 20 grand, booked the flight and some expensive camera equipment like a P900 and stuff, the flat earthers camera of choice. And so he booked it and he got stitched up. There was no flight.
Are you serious?
So since then, he has actually been back out there. And put it this way, there's many misconceptions about Antarctica. One, you're not barred from going there. You are barred from going there without a visa, just like every other country. Yeah. The only difference being, because it's deadly out there, and it's so derelict. Put it this way. It's the land. To put it in perspective, this is what got me, and I was like, okay, yeah, they have got a point. Let's not bother with the Antarctica thing. It's hilarious. You've got a landmass. Antarctica, believe it or not, is a landmass the size of India at its smallest. Now, over 6 months, it grows to be the same size as either 1.5 times Europe or 1.5 times North America. Okay, so think about that size. That size, now imagine you've got people, tourists, go in there randomly, go in there, and there is a maximum amount of people, especially at that time, on the whole of Antarctica, about 3,000 people. Compare that to the amount of millions there are in Europe. Yeah, 3,000 people are probably in your local town. Yeah, now empty out the whole of Europe, and it's reasonable to expect that we don't want people going over. So we're in England, and there's 3,000 people over here. We don't really want people going over to explore France and all those nether regions that are really deep and snowy that we haven't built bases on, that there's no flight paths to, there's no fire engines, there's no emergency services. If it's to rescue you, we got a shitload of shit to do. Yeah, and we could be killing ourselves doing it. So it's reasonable to expect, yeah, you need some sort of additional awareness, and of which flat earthers are correct. You do need a special green card to go to Antarctica. Yeah. However, you can go to Antarctica.
Yeah, I've just looked it up now.
Don't doubt it.
Yeah, Aurora Expeditions, they do trips to Antarctica.
And the flat earthers' point of view is that they steer you down particular paths, and yes, it's correct.
Right.
And everything I say here, that when I say yes, a flat earther is correct, look, they pointed out to us that mainstream media and science lies to us. Yeah, I mean, it's outstanding, but obviously, I think it's more of it's a religion thing, atheist versus religion thing. We'll get to that a little bit later, but
yeah, because that's the other thing, is that like people say, and again, I mean, when I say people, flat earthers, but if the Earth's flat, it proves that God exists, or so, you know. So there's this sort of thing that like, it's given them some sense of life again, and a reason to live, and a sort of something to believe in, and something, you know. But I already have that, so I already, regardless of whether the Earth's flat or round, I already think nature's a fucking amazing, you know, thing anyway. So it doesn't matter what shape it is. It wouldn't surprise me either way, because I think, well, nature's amazing. So, you know.
Now, I will say again, in flat earthers' defense, a lot of people, including this Simon Dan, who's one of the biggest guys in the globe earth proponents late in the flat earths, just recently he released a video saying ice walls in Antarctica. There is none. Now, if anyone's actually researched into this, I mean, you can just search ice wall Antarctica in Google and you'll come up with hundreds of photos. But not only that, if you actually research the science, even if you go on Wiki, it's on Wiki, there's a section called geography, and on there it shows that 95% of Antarctica's coastline was measured by BAS, British Antarctica Survey, which is a part of University of Cambridge, who were the first university to settle in Antarctica to do research. Yeah, so these were the first guys back in 80s, I think it was, they'd done this, go all around the coastline and record what percentage is rock, what is ice wall, what is an ice shelf, and what is what's known as a glacier opening. So it's like it's got water leaking down through it, like a lake, freshwater lake. So they found out that 95% of the whole coastline is ice wall or ice shelf. An ice shelf is just basically an ice wall, but that is worn away at the bottom. So the sea's here, and then this is the ice shelf. The sea comes up to here.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just worn away at the bottom over time, instead of it being directly like that. And this is sea, and this is the land. It's just worn away bit. So it's still an ice wall, but it's an ice shelf because it's worn away underneath, and it's due to collapse like that. That's why they call it shelf. So in a sense, flat earthers are perfectly right. There is a massive ice wall going around the whole of Antarctica that is similar to the one out of Game of Thrones. I never watched an episode of that.
Oh, wait. So when you're saying that, because that makes it sound like it's going around, you know what I mean? Like, and we're in the basin. But are you saying it's going round inside?
Remember, Mac Earth, perspective is everything. And it's not eye perspective, it's your own internal perspective. If you're a flat earther, for you, no, it does go round. It goes round you, round in that circle. If you're a globe earther, it goes round the coast, that bit of a land. So it's just your belief. Your belief it's both round. It's both round. It's just inverted.
So
one's
like
either encasing us like a flan dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that for globe people, it juts up out of the sea and it's like a tall wall. So
it would be on the top of
the island, and it's a tall wall.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a flat earther, you see it as like a flan dish around the outside of a flan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if this was Antarctica here, just that top bit, it would only raise up less than a millimeter from there. But I will say, and you look me up and check me out on anything that I say here, but Antarctica is net the highest continent on Earth. That may not mean nothing to you now, but when you understand that flat earthers do say that there's this massive wall that keeps us all in, that wall is actually the highest thing on Earth that keeps us all in, and that makes more logical sense than why would there be on a ball that's been equally spinning for billions of years that grows this land, Pangea, whatever it was, whatever hit it, whatever theory you want to select. How did it start off at one land, then accumulate for there to be such a massive sum of land at the bottom? Remember, when you're looking in space, and this is the globe Earth theory, when you're looking from the Earth in space, there's no up or down in space. There should be no reason why there's such a massive difference between here. I mean, there's obviously a spin, so there's a difference between here and here, but essentially there's no up or down in space. So we can imagine it as the solar system upside down. Why is then this massive landmass of the size of India for 6 months of the year, the size of 1.5 Europes for the next 6 months, why is that all there? But then when you analyze the north, there is zero landmass. It's all floating ice, no ice wall. There's probably ice caves on icebergs, massive icebergs, which look like land, but are not actually fixed to the floor. But there is no fixed land or landmass. There's zero landmass in the North Pole.
There's quite a lot of other land mass around the North Pole, right? Whereas in the Southern Hemisphere, there's very little land around the South Pole.
Of course. That is a good point, because 80% of the land is in the north.
Yeah.
And a wild stat that you learn along the way is that 90% of the human population lives in the northern hemisphere. It's only 10% in the southern.
Yeah.
And that's mainly due to the landmass, because it's kind of like 60-40, 80-20
yeah.
with the landmass distribution. Yeah. Landmass versus water. And they've got a point. And that's what I'm saying. There's a huge fight against that to say, nah, there's not even this ice wall. It doesn't even exist. But you can look it up. The paper is done by J. Jury from Cambridge University, literally. And they put the figures on Wikipedia saying, I think it's 44% is ice wall and about 34% is ice shelf. And then the other is the glacier, and only 5% is rock. And that's been mainly where we've settled and we built our actual bases there. So it's exposed the rock.
Right.
Yeah. So either way, it's sort of like they've got a point, but people slate them. And this is the thing. I ask every globe earther, why do you feel the need to actually lie to help you promote the globe when the globe alone should just stand on its own 2 feet?
Well, this is that was my point even about them even arguing against it, and there being a whole movement to argue against it. It makes it seem like, oh, okay, we've got to prove this wrong. You know, we've got to debunk it, sort of thing.
Yeah, it
and
gives
it's
it
like,
validity.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It gives it validity, man. So it's kind of weird, you know. It keeps it all up in the air. But okay, so how would you explain, you know, like you mentioned the what is it, the PX90, the flat Earth,
The P900,
the P900, yeah, the Nikon P900. How would you explain that whole thing then with the you know, the boat looking like it's disappearing over the horizon, you know, over the water, and then suddenly you can zoom back in and see it, and that doesn't equate to the curvature, you know, the calculation of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. P900, what you've got to understand is there's massive distortion on that. I've got that in the presentation showing that there's distortion. Any telephoto lens, you will always get that. It's not fisheye in, it's more barrel distortion, where you'll still get the curves around all the edges, a circular curve. The only true optical precise part of any photograph is directly the dot in the middle. That's the only geometric recorded correct part of any photo. Yeah, anything left, right, or whatever of that, it starts to get distorted, stretched, and whatnot as a facet of the lens being a curved lens. There's no such thing. Even if people talk to you about a rectilinear lens, it's not a flat lens. It just reduces the actual that curve. Okay, the actual only flat lens in existence are actually nano lenses, which are going to enter on the market at a couple of million. You know, they're top spec, they're proper flat, as in down at particle level style.
Yeah.
But the Nikon, all that does is it has a very, very big zoom on it. And it's similar to say, here is a quiz to anyone or to yourselves, and let's see how you answer it. And you probably know the answer because you've read my bits. But if I was to say to you, flat earthers say things disappear due to perspective, and P900s can bring it back together again. If I was to say to you that globe earthers counter that by saying, no, you get to a certain point and it goes over the physical globe. Yeah, it goes behind a physical globe. There's no, you can pull a telescope out and it still wouldn't bring that back over. And that is fact. That actually happened. Yeah. Now, so many other circumstances happen in here. You've got refraction, which sinking is a completely known phenomena where a boat could be on the horizon, but sinking allows refraction to make it look like it's behind. So there's a known phenomena already available there that could be happening, that you could be recording. But essentially, it is just the power of resolvability. Okay, so what the P900 has is a 400 times zoom. It's 398 or whatever it is actually, but they put 400 on the thing because it's as if it is. And it is literally that. All I can say is zoom is, if you imagine your screen of what you're all looking at this on now, the zoom is just increasing the amount of pixels if you were to crop a segment of the screen. So if I'm really good and I can match it up here, no, I'm not really good. I'm going the opposite. Can we? Yeah. So if I get a square here and say, right, everyone in their minds, crop this thing out, this square, yeah, and then zoom in so that is the whole picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is all what a P900 does. Yeah. Now, can you see the bit of dust on my jacket there?
No.
There isn't one, by the way, right? But put it this way, there's this little tag, you know, the tag thing. And even though it's black and you couldn't see it and whatnot, but if you would have zoomed in and that whole photo covered your whole screen, you would have seen that. You would have probably gone, nah, Gleem, there's no dust there, but I see the little tag thing. Yeah, because it resolved it. Yeah, and that's all a P900 is doing. It is just resolving. Now, in perspective, there is another thing that supports the flat earthers, in as much as you can actually hide stuff bottom up or compress, let's say, stuff bottom up if you are not at the optical center of the object. Yeah. And if you want to look up scientists, this is one of my in-depth topics. This and ether have been the two primary topics that I've gone well in depth on, hours and hours, 5-hour debates against 4 or 5 people, all got PhDs and stuff, really hurting. But at the end of it, perspective allows you to have compression at the bottom part if you are not exactly at the middle. So if you can imagine a cube at your feet, you can actually see just the top of it. You can't see any of the sides of it. Mm-hmm. So you look down and all you can see is just that top of it.
Yeah.
If we imagine it's just a 1-foot cube about this big. Yeah. Now, if you push it off to the horizon, you'll stop seeing the top of it, because as it goes off with perspective, as we all know, it shrinks and it gets further off in the distance. It converges towards a vanishing point. Now, with that comes a certain point that you reach based on your eye height. Now, this is an important thing that a lot of people miss. Your eye height has a lot to do with how far you can see of the land before every square meter. If you drew a checkerboard off into the horizon, it would compress and compress like intervals, like train tracks going off into the horizon. There would be a certain point where all those train tracks or all those squares become just one line. And that is your perspective horizon. Yeah. Now, anything that reaches there as a boat, let's say here on your perspective horizon, normally when you push that box off into the horizon, it appears to go up, when we all know that that's not the case. It doesn't actually go up. That's just our perspective doing that. But it reaches a certain point, being the horizon, and it doesn't go up anymore. It just appears to go back in the background. Yeah. So I'm going to do it as a circle. But if I had 2 circles on your horizon that were equal size,
not Masonic signs, by the way.
Yeah, like that. And then on your horizon.
Yeah, you're throwing up all kind of gang signs.
And then obviously everyone understands that if I put, let's say they're a meter in diameter, if I put one behind the other, one will cover the other, because we're just seeing in 2D at that point. When it's up at your horizon, you're only seeing the side of the object, meaning it only looks like a 2D square or circle. Yeah. So you put one behind the other, you can cover it. Yeah. Now, what you do is this behind one, obviously, will carry on going back like the ship is, and will continue to shrink like my finger was. Yeah. Now, if let's say you've got the horizon here with a slight little bit of a wave going over it, that 1-foot wave, let's say, could be 0.1 degree. Now, the ship may be 10 foot, 20 foot in the air, but at some point in perspective, because it's going, instead of going up now, it's just going back as if it's in a tunnel. Yeah, because perspective makes it shrink still, then that means that at some point that ship is going to start hiding behind these little foreground waves. Exactly the same as I was explaining in the National Geographic thing with the flag. The foreground waves in your perspective, based on your height, will, and you just say, Gleem, I'll just go higher. Yes, you go higher. And then your geometry pushes your horizon out. So you see farther. But then there's still a 1-foot wave on your horizon. And then you put a boat directly behind that 1-foot wave. We all know through perspective, that 1-foot wave will cover only 1 foot of that boat. Yeah, but because the boat is now moving, considered as a flat plane going into the background, it's still getting smaller, but it's hidden behind this 1 foot of wave. So it will appear as if it's going down beyond the curve of the earth. And that is just a natural facet of perspective that you can't argue against, in as much as again, it's one of those things. That's logic.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on a minute. So you're saying that, because what I was asking was, how comes you can still zoom in then once it goes behind that wave?
Yeah.
So
now that's resolvability. and that was explained in when you zoom into that little patch. So a normal photograph is your whole screen. Yeah. A P900 takes a very tiny 2 degrees of the middle of the screen here. Yeah. And what it does is you're in 1080p now. Everyone's in 1080p, let's say. So that means there's X amount of dots per inch. Yeah, and that would normally be around 30, sorry, it would be up to 300 at high def. Yeah, so 300 dots per inch. Now, all the P900 does is zoom into that one little section like a magnifying glass would, make that the whole picture, and make the granularity of the pixels more. So there then is 300 dots per inch in that photo. Yeah. So if you zoomed out again to the zoomed out photo, let's say the mathematics of it, you've got a 1 meter cube. Based on the mathematics, you shouldn't be able to see that anyway, because it's disappeared from the mathematics of the lens, saying, I cannot resolve that because I'm zoomed out so much. Yeah. I'm capturing waves, I'm capturing trees, yeah, but it hasn't. I'm not as finite enough at this mode to capture a small one inch whatever, yeah. And it's exactly like going out into your garden. You won't see any ants from standing up. You get a camera, normal camera, forget the P900. You zoom in, you might catch a few, yeah, and that's just because you're zooming in on a section of a whole amount, and that's all the P900 does. It's a placebo in my eyes. All resolvability proves is that they have a point in as much as it is not necessarily just the curve of the earth that hides objects bottom up. The camera resolvability can trick you into thinking, yep, look, that's disappeared, it's gone over the curve of the earth. And then exactly that P900 goes, hold my beer, and pulls it back in. Yeah, pulls it back into resolution. That's what it's all about, resolvable power.
So it's always like that, but it's just your eye is making it not look like that. You can't
see it. Yeah, it's like if there was a bird on the horizon, you may not be able to see it dead on the horizon, but then it flies towards you, and then all of a sudden it appears, and it's like that's come into your the actual
your zoomed in eye, basically.
It's called visual acuity.
Yeah,
that's the professional word for it, and it's the same as what you get tested for when you go for glasses tests with the letters. That is testing the strength of your visual acuity, whether you're 20/20, and the actual figure is actually 0.01666666 degrees for 20/20. So it can be less for that for any, but that's the maximum that we can resolve in our human eye. Yeah. So I cannot resolve, obviously, any depth of any camera by zooming in, because my eyes simply don't have that function of getting the center of my lens and then going, right, I only want to let in light to that very center of my pupil.
It's actually the only thing I think that is a bit of a flaw about humans, is that we don't have a zoomable eye. It's like there's not really many things in. I don't think there's anything in nature that's got a zoomable eye, but it's like quite a good.
I beg to differ, though. If you do get drunk, sometimes
hawks and that.
Sometimes that flaw.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes things like LSD or mushrooms can make the eye zoom in to really small things, but we don't have like. I'm not that I'd want to be replaced with a zoomable eye, but I'm just if nature's got any plans for the future, it would be zoomable eye.
But essentially, there was the question of, if I now say to you, with that visual acuity knowledge, you know that if someone walks away from you, you got this hypothetical thought experiment. You got 2 6-foot people, they're back to back in a Western. Yeah, every 50 paces, they turn back and they look at each other. Yeah, to see how far they are and whether they can still see each other. Take another 50, another 50. And I always ask this question to both globe earthers and flat earthers. And I say, What mechanism do you think will make one disappear from the other's vision? Just human eye, not a camera. Would it be the curve of the earth would cover them up, or would it be the actual limitation of your eye? And what is your guesses, if you haven't already sneak peeked?
Well, I'm guessing that they would each go for which one favoured their belief system, innit? So the flat earther is going to say it's your eye, and then the globe is going to be like it's the curve.
On a globe, it's the eye. So in globe earth science, it's the eye. If you run I think it's height divided by the tangent of that angle, yeah, and you do the angular size of a 6 foot person, which is 1.8288 meters, you do that angular size, and it actually makes the human disappear about 3.9 miles. Okay, so you cannot resolve that person. That person becomes merged into a blodge. Yeah, your light from your body is not producing enough to hit my retinas and excite my my rods and cones enough to make me see a difference between your pixel and the pixel next to it, or the one next to that. Yeah, so that's irresolvability. Now, if you work out how long it would take for the curve of the earth to cover him up, you're talking 6.5 miles, nearly double that, yeah, or that and a half. So that is the mathematics of it, and that is including standard refraction as well. So it is always the human acuity of the eye will always let you down before you'll even see anything go over the horizon with the eye, which then leads you back to question the original sentiment that what's the primary proof that Earth isn't flat? Oh, we know this from the ancient Greek days of man like Aristotle, who literally said, he recorded ships sailing over the horizon. Man didn't have a P900. He had his eye. And I don't even think telescopes were even a thing then. He may have had an eyepiece, a very, very, very primitive piece of glass, maybe. However, he wouldn't have been able to see whether boats went over a horizon. It's a fairy tale. It's an absolute, it's on par. And I'll tell you this now, Eratosthenes and all them, the history of the Greeks, yeah, all them boys back in the day from the BC times. Put it this way, there's more evidence Jesus existed than they did. Because of one main thing, the Romans burnt Library of Alexandria, of which Eratosthenes was the head of.
Main librarian.
Yeah. So he
head librarian, boy.
He's known as the godfather of geography. Believe it or not, it was Eratosthenes that invented the coordinate system on Earth. So that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know. But one thing is that I dare you go and find a map that you believe has been authored by Eratosthenes, or even a representation of what he would draw that is a globe. Guarantee you won't. You will only find flat Earth maps. And if you understand this, he was 18 when he done the experiment with the sticks and shadows. He died when he was late 80s, 88, I think it was. He never once authored a globe Earth map or coordinate system. They were all based on a flat Earth. Not saying he was a flat earther, but in that time, it was
he might have been
common.
Mac.
Yeah, in that time, it was common knowledge. Put it this way: imagine the roles reversed today. Okay, the people who were coming out saying the Earth was a globe back in them days, and this was the likes of why Pythagoras had to set up a secret school to teach these teachings of the globe Earth. And it was a secret school. They had to literally keep it under wraps because they were laughed at for thinking Earth is a globe. And that is no joke. That's what they write in the history books. So if you imagine at that time, if anyone was saying it was a globe, Yeah, unless we have to believe that he was the predominant switchover figure from flat Earth to the globe, which again you have to further reference, but you can't because there's no direct words from him left. There's only accounts from other people.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same as Jesus.
Boy, it gets deeper and deeper, man. I see. Yeah, I can understand a lot more now why you are where you are with it.
So what are you saying that Gleem
understanding perspective? Well, he's coming from a state of mind of like.
Sorry, Gleem. Sorry to take you out of this. Is not your. It's not. This isn't your call. This isn't.
I'll
your
tell
call.
you what. No, I need the loop.
All right. Okay.
Let me go for the
you
loop.
go to the loop. We'll decide what you are.
Yeah, we'll decide what you are, man.
Cost me out.
No. I mean, comment section are handling that, man.
Smash eyes.
We still haven't.
Too much.
I've all through. I've been switching between whether you're a denier, whether you're a
pro.
I want to keep you guessing. You know?
Yeah.
Keep you guessing.
No, but he's a Libra. I think that says it all, man. The fact that you seem like a strong Libra.
I'll cut away for a minute. You can go to the toilet when you're back.
Yeah.
I'm a flow birther.
Yo.
Yeah, what do you reckon he is?
I reckon he's stuck in between and he's probably still trying to work it out himself because through the conversation, through what he's saying, I'm getting, but like even that answer for the camera, it felt like he was answering for both sides. And I think even, shout out to I Am said it's like speaking two languages. I think that's what she's saying, because boy, yeah, I got a bit. I was like, hold on a minute. So I think he really is in between. He's like on that Libra. It's like you can see on this side, but then on this side, and even that means on this side.
Let's get everyone. Let's get a popular opinion on what people think Gleem is. Do you think he's a flat earther? Do you think he's a globe earther?
Lawrence Lindbergh, man, he said a fence earther. Like sat on the fence, boy. Yo, okay, shout out to Indian Patriot, says I'm still and will always be a flat earther.
He
out of here.
Shouted it.
Out of here. Yeah, he shouted it as well. Okay, so man, Kenneth said cosmic egg. POK still hanging in there. Shout out to POK, boy.
Yeah, no, it's
Globe
good
tonight, you know. Yeah, man. Hey, it's deep though, because obviously, you know, there's so many different elements to the whole thing, man. But I think, you know, someone mentioned it. They said that globe earth or flat earth, it doesn't matter. You know, we're all one. We've all got to live together regardless. It's like, regardless of what you believe, I don't think we should be arguing each other and going at each other's throats and trolling each other even just because it's like you can still have the conversation and look, this is what I believe and this is why I believe it, and the other person say it, and you know, whether you agree or not, I think it's important that we look on both sides of the situation as well, which is why we're here doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like knowing that Gleem is where he's at with it, with the old Libra skills. You know what I mean? It's starting to make a lot more sense to me. But let me shout out before we carry on, canisersuk.com.
Oh yeah.
We got to make sure that you lot get exactly what you need when it comes to CBD products. You know what I mean? Canisters UK, they've got a whole bunch of different products up there. One that I really enjoy is the full spectrum CBD, which is a combination of both the sativa and indica dominant, a whole plant extract, giving customers the full range of the cannabinoids, the terpenes, the flavonoids, and the phenols. I just wanted to say that, D. It felt good.
They all sound like Roman families.
Hersius cannabinoidus.
Flavonoid.
Terpenus. Yeah, flavonus.
Flavonoid.
Well, the names do kind of derive from the whole Roman thing, innit? Pretty sure, man. Flavonoids, phenols, and allowing more chance of the entourage effect. I don't know what that is, but I think I do. Because, yeah, I don't know exactly. But
like a piling up effect or something.
It's just like you feel, it's almost like you got that ready brick glow around you. You just feel really like calm and, you know what I mean? Everything's like, yeah. You're thinking about things cognitively, right? Yeah. Neo level shit. Yeah, it's like that. You're stopping bullets with this shit. You know what I mean? So if you want to stop bullets, Nah, and I mean on a spiritual level. You know, you're calm. Every day is like whatever, man. Hit up Canisters.
Bold claim otherwise.
Canisters. Bold
20%
claim for real.
discount.
Yeah,
You can stop
yeah.
bullets.
Yeah, like them negative bullets, man. You know them bullets that just like have you all panicking and all that. Yeah, you stop them type of bullets, man. Neo shit. Hit up canistersuk.com. They got a whole bunch of different products, man. You can get Belgian chocolate, indica or sativa. You can get a CBD balm, which is really good if you got like any kind of, you know, skin problems, or if you got muscle aches, joint aches and whatnot, rub that in. You can get spray as well, which is good for the under the tongue thing. That's what I do every day, and it's banging, man. It's like, especially when you blaze as well, it's like, yo, man, you really feel it, bruv. And you got sativa sprays, you got indica sprays, as well as full spectrum, as well as the chocolate stirrers, man. We can't.
You're more saying earlier on. She's had the stirrers.
Yeah, you can't miss out the chocolate stirrers, man. That's important right there. Hit up Canisters UK, and guess what? You can get 20% off any order, man. Canistersuk.com. Any order you make, 20% off if you type in SYMNNKNA. That's something you might not never know nothing about as an acronym. Bitches and bitchettes. No discrimination. Yeah. So, boy, let's get back into this, man, because
right. So Gleem,
you got us. We're confused out here.
I think. Right.
Okay. What was the conclusion?
I'll tell you what some people have said. Other people.
You're Libra'd out, bro.
Sure.
That's all I can say is you're Libra'd out.
Yeah, man.
Mice is just. You're just a star sign to Mice. That's all it is.
As soon as he learned that, that's it. Game over.
Yeah, it made sense. It just all made sense. It's like, okay. No,
I'm
but
not a
because
fence sitter, though. I will say,
you're not a globe fencer. Not a fencer.
A fence.
Lawrence Lindbergh's in. Lawrence Lindbergh's.
I don't feel the need to believe one or the other, but everyone is desperate for me to believe one or the other, and that goes for both parties.
PLK thinks you're a globe earth denier.
Yeah.
It's regardless, no matter what your perspective, some people will just pick up on something that you say that they agree with, and then all of a sudden they're your best friend and you're a flat earther and they're a flat earther, and then next moment put it this way, people do see a lot of me putting out flat earth stuff and slating globe earthers, but they don't look up half the amount of videos that I've got on hit pieces of flat earthers calling me a shill, calling me a globe earther. And I'm literally in the comments going, I don't mind whether you call me a globe earther, mate. It doesn't matter. It can be a globe. And that's what I've got to say about all of this. No matter if the media are lying, no matter if perspective does hide the bottom of ships, no matter if all that Pythagoras and Eratosthenes is a load of bull, it can still be a globe. There's nothing to say on top of that it can't be a globe. That can still happen on a globe.
So you're saying then that it's a possibility that it could be. You're not saying that you know for a fact that it's a globe, because you're saying it could be. No.
I'm saying the phenomena that people attribute to such things like proving the Earth. Yeah, so it comes down to that whole point. I can prove something. We know the Earth is a globe because, and it's them statements that are my trigger points, that they're like, no, you don't. Shut up. It's refraction could get in the way. Put it this way, there's a massive argument between what's known as the black swan, which is a photograph which was taken over in Santa Monica over in the States, West Coast. And they've taken a picture, and it's on 1 foot height off the ground, and you can literally see the sea 15 miles away when you should only be able to see it 1 mile away. And that's where the curve should be blocking everything off. But you can see 15 miles. Now, again, there is refraction. You can tell there's refraction involved. Things go a bit misty. It's not as much as the globe earthers pretend, because on one of these oil rigs, they've got an actual burner. And if anyone's seen any oil getting burnt anywhere, you'll see that there's like a wavy effect of all the objects behind it. And a lot of the globe earthers jumped on that and said, look, you've got loads of refraction. It's so super refraction that that is a globe, but it's just refracted upwards 15, so you can see 15 miles. Now, I was told 100% that should be my turning point to be a flat earther. I should now become a flat earther. And I was like, I am not deciding my belief system, my total belief system, after what I've seen, especially on just one photo. You can piss off. Something that I can't even go over and verify. I could do. I've got people over that side, but I'm not bothering with all of that just to verify that he can get that. And he has actually gone back since and got different results where it shows more curvature, which again, actually, once you run the maths, can be explained with perspective, ironically. Now, the reason why I say this is all of this happened on one channel who's a massive predominant flat earther who converted to be a globe earther.
Well, so he must have started off as a globe earther, though. We all start off globe earthers,
originally, yeah.
So then
he was one of the predominant flat earth guys called Ranty. If anyone's heard of him, called Ranty. He used to regularly appear on the Nathan Oakley show.
Oh yeah, I've heard that name.
Eddie Bravo shouted out.
Yeah, okay,
on Rogan and whatnot. But yeah, he. I mean, I've been on there, and it's a bit of an echo chamber, but there is no other place that is exactly not an echo chamber. So it's just the same as the globe earth sides. They've got echo chambers, same way. But yeah, he's. I don't know. He said to me, Gleem, I'm like you, mate. I would never choose my belief system just based on one photo. I'd need a series of photos. And actually enough, he's based up in Blackpool. And it's near Manchester, but he used to go up to Blackpool to film the Isle of Man and across Blackpool Pleasure Beach, all across there, to do exactly that, like flat earth, globe earth proof. And he come across a picture. It wasn't even his, but he knew the area, so he knew he could put it on Google Earth, calculate it all out, what it should be, what should be hidden, la la la. So he calculated it all out, and he literally said to himself, "Hands up! I've been in this for 5 years now. I've been one of the predominant leaders. I'm going to have to admit I cannot reconcile this. So I'm going back to a globe." And he went back to a globe, and it was so ironic that he told me. And he tried to convince me to be a flat earther. I told him, nah, I'd never convert my belief based on one photo. Yeah. He agreed with me. And then a year later or something, changed his belief to the globe based on one photo. And that is the core of it. I mean, that guy was pulling in probably $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month on his YouTube channel. And he give it up. He literally, fair play to him, he give it up. Give it to a flat earther and said, look, I've got no need for this anymore. Set up a new channel called Flirspective. I'm giving them all props here and highlights, but this is my journey. This is my journey. These are the top boys, and I've spent many hours with Randy. Many hours. We're talking too many hours, put it that way. If I clocked them all up, I'd be like, shit, I've wasted that much. And it is. I don't see it as a waste, because that is my whole point of learning something. You got to learn something logical like that to knock your whole belief system. And I love that feeling now. It's more like I've been knocked down in a debate and I've loved it, and I've saluted the person who done it. And I've gone, really? No, I did not know that. I did research that, but it didn't lead me to that. And I checked him, and he was perfectly right. It was to do with plasma and Einstein and whatnot and measurements. But he was perfectly right and shot me right down. And I was like, oh, I back away. And he had a PhD in physics either way. So I can't argue with that.
That's anyway. A good thing about the internet debating stuff is that you actually can, the more you do it, the more you learn to like humble yourself when you have to. And all that sort of thing. Whereas most people never go through that. They're just, most people just, when they have an argument with somebody, all their adrenaline comes up and they just start shitting themselves. Yeah. And, go,
exactly.
Oh, no, you are. No, you smell. And it turns into just like sort of ad hominem.
That's it.
But it's good. I like what you're saying. It's good. Yeah. To debate.
Yeah, that's the learning. That's the learning I've got from it. Put it this way: if it wasn't for flat Earth, I wouldn't know half as much as I've gone back and researched. I wouldn't know half as much about Einstein, space-time, And I've watched tens of hours of videos of lectures from Harvard and all the big people, Leonard Susskind, Stephen Hawkins.
So
Lawrence
you
Krauss,
trust all them people?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Gleem, wait, what would you go on.
Yeah, no.
You don't trust them,
science.
but you were just talking about like how you.
Yes, we should trust science. Yeah, no, we should trust science, but this is my Machian philosophy coming out again, where Leonard Susskind is the father of quantum string theory, or string theory, and M theory. Completely untestable theory in reality. It's the reason why it hasn't caught on, albeit a lot of physicists do actually believe that that is the right path we should be taking towards quantum gravity and whatnot, but it's untestable. You've got the likes of Sean Carroll with the many worlds theory. I don't know whether you've heard of this, but once you actually get your minds about it, but it's the many worlds where it's multiverse. So this is what happens. Literally, this is the theory. Physically, I walk downstairs, I walk out my flat, go to the end of the road, I take a left. Ping, immediately another universe is created in the exact same scenario and everything. I turned right. Okay. I carry on walking down that road. I pass a shop. Bing, an alternative reality appears where I went in that shop instead of past it. That is literally the theory, where every decision that a person or a human conscious has made, a new multiverse is created in an instant, which is, again, 100% untestable in reality. And I'm like,
makes for good films.
I'm like, and another one, which is Lawrence Krauss. He's a core proponent of, he likes to talk about dark energy as he was a proponent of it, but when you look up the history books and who won the Nobel Prize for it, it was actually Sol Poemitter and a couple of other people. So he may have been researching it, but never actually was attributed for the discovery of dark energy. But again, dark energy, it's just like, we haven't got a clue what that is. All we know is it's a mistake. It's a mistake that we thought, or Einstein thought, that the universe had stopped expanding and we were literally static. And what we actually record is that it is expanded. But then we've got what's known as the crisis in cosmology on top of that, where not only is it expanding, but the two different methods that we're trying to send up and actually measure the expansion rate, how many parsecs per second it's moving away from each other, you're getting two different results, which don't match, don't come near each other in the philosophy of the science of what it should be. So it's completely unknown. Dark energy, we don't know anything about it, whether it interacts with light, whether it is even does anything. It may not be real.
All right, so let's go into how would you explain, what's the deal with all these videos we got of like kind of fake astronauts in space and all that? Why would they do all that?
Well, I was saying that. I mean,
CGI.
there is incentive, obviously. There, everyone knows the generic incentives of the Russian, which is actually on at the moment, and it's amazing how these are part of the conversation. These words, but these are trigger words for YouTube that could get you locked off and stuff like that. It's so harsh, me having to wind my neck in and basically not go full on conspiracy tard and literally go through.
Yeah. We don't want to, we don't want to mess up the share waves, man.
Yeah, it's put it this way: there is no. There's the two things. The one that I talked about was the photographs. Okay, so from the ISS,
I'm asking, like, why are they making?
Now, they're not. This is the next part. Now, the second part is what's called remote sensing, which is completely different to aerial photography. What remote sensing is similar to a thermal camera. So if when you see the old Bill helicopters looking at the fucking attics and they're all lit up because someone's growing up in there, Yeah. So what that's doing is sending heat signatures. That's not actually physically seeing that heat. Yeah, they're sending a heat signature and they're bouncing off a radio wave at a certain radio. It's actually near IR. Yeah, but they're bouncing that off and they're able to detect the hot parts versus the cold parts. Yeah, and therefore you can obviously detect there's this big thing. That is exactly all satellites all do. It's not like a lens. You don't have a massive flash. Right, take the photo, and it quickly lights up the whole universe. It's not like that. You can't do that out in space. You're dark. So you don't work based off of optical light. There are a few, obviously, that bring in the light spectrum, the RGB, but the majority of it is radio waves. And all it is pings. So they send out thousands of pings and they'll get them back in a certain timing, yeah, with a certain signature, and they'll know, right, there's cloud there because that ping didn't return. It hit there. So on that pixel, on that drawing, we're going to draw a bit of a cloud at that depth that made it not return. And that is what remote sensing is. So they're not taking a photo of Earth, they're constructing it. And then all that guy's saying when he says, yeah, it's Photoshop because we have to. And it is, because you think this satellite, even though it's 65,000 miles away, yeah, it's still doing the old, I can only see one side of the box. If you get that. Perspective is still a thing for a satellite.
Yeah.
So now there's an additional function with a sphere, which is called spherical distortion on the edges. And what actually happens if you get a football and you bring it to your face and then bring it away, if you do the same thing with a camera, you'll capture a different part of it. And this is a globe earthers plus argument back to the flat earthers, because a lot of them say, well, why is the Earth such a different size? And their continent sizes are such big in one in 87, and then they're really tiny, covering just a little bit of Earth. They're about this big on one, but only this big on another. And that is purely because of the distance they are away from it. Yeah, obviously the nearer, the more zoomed in they are. But what actually happens is just like that ISS that I was saying, even though theirs is a bit bigger, they still don't see 50% of the Earth. They still only see this little bit here. And then everything from here to here is compressed into a single line of pixels right around the outside of the picture.
So
that's how cameras work.
So you can see this if you use two different lenses. You use like a 20mm lens and an 80mm lens. And if you get the 20mm lens and so your camera lens, if you move your camera lens on your phone closer or further away from you, your nose gets really big as you get to the middle. If you've done that same thing with an 80mm lens, it keeps everything quite flat. So if you took a picture of a continent with like a lens that's like 80mm, equivalent.
Exactly.
Then you wouldn't get that distortion at the edges of the, like a fisheye effect at the edge of it, which is, I get it.
It's exactly that. And that I put an example in there, and it's predominant on what's called the dolly zoom effect, where it's an old technique used in films like Jaws and stuff like that, where you're zooming in as you're moving back. So the perspective point is actually doing that, but it's wrapping the whole scene around you, and it gives you that feeling of intenseness. It's been used in Tarantino's films, loads.
No, but you know what I was on about? I was actually on about, when they're doing, it seems like they're doing simulations or whatever, but they're meant to be up in the actual...
Oh, in the ISS.
Yeah, in the ISS.
Right.
And then as in, it's all like the
you're
CGI.
Talking about the pool or something?
The strings.
Yeah,
it's like
going through a man's
hand, and all that fake.
The cool one that David didn't play, which I'm shocked he didn't play, but he played it but didn't play it back. Yeah, he played the other one. It was, if you remember, there was a guy doing a Superman dive across the back. Across the back. As you come out to the zoom one, there's a guy in a green shirt and another guy next to him, and he's flipping a cap. His blue cap. He's flipping a cap, and then all of a sudden the guy automatically just goes, reaches out, grabs nothing from thin air, puts it in his other hand, and puts it up on the shelf.
Yeah, he played that one.
Yeah.
Why are they doing all that? Why are they doing all of that stuff? Why are they doing all that if it's...
I was suspect of that. I thought, nah, that's got to be edited or something. I went to found the original video that was on the school website that was produced live from. It was exactly the same in there. So that just threw questions to me. And I was just like, how can I answer that without saying that is CGI? So yes, I firmly believe that CGI is used on the ISS. And it's proven to anyway, because they've brought, you must have seen it, it was on that video, I'm sure, where they brought a teddy in from AR. And it wasn't bringing it in, it was deleted to start with. And they just make it look as if it appears by removing the mask. Yeah, and then there's a dangling teddy there that she picks up, and it's a physical teddy. Yeah, so a lot of flat earthers think that is the CGI as well, but it isn't, because it flops too good, too real to be true. But again, that is questionable. There is lots, and this is my core point, is that before you go out and badmouth a flat earther, yeah, understand from their point of view, a lot of what they've been told themselves and a lot of what they've researched themselves is fact. And again, from a globe earther's point of view, that can all still be fact and the earth still be a globe. So there's no need to actually lie about it and create more lies or dismiss that scientific fact and say, nah, that never happened or anything like that, and just hand-wave dismiss it. It's idiotic. It's stupid. And put it this way, the core reason I'm in it is because I concentrated on perspective and gravity. Gravity is a head fook, but from perspective point of view, I would always said to every debate, when I start every debate, I'm not a flat earther, I'm what you know as a Mac earther, and explained all of that. And what I've said to them all is literally, you get a flat earther. Here we go. This is what's called a flock-mock paradox. I coined that phrase from just thin air, just to say that you're both the same. Yeah, they're both the same. So a flat earther will say to a globe earther, one debate, I can measure the earth to be 15 miles in a photo when it should be only a meter. Yeah, that must mean that the earth must be flat, because there's no way that happens on a globe. Yeah, so that is my evidence that earth is flat, and that is the black swan is their genuine bit of evidence. Then you've got a globe earther saying, don't be so silly, you've got all refraction involved there, and when you lengthen that measly 15 miles on the massive surface of earth and you get a much larger measuring stick, you'll understand that there is a drop and a curve to the earth. That's why it can never be flat. Yeah, so that's the constant argument between the two. But then in the same debate, you'll have the same thing with gravity, saying, a globe earther would say, I know gravity is real. When I pick up stuff, I drop it. That works all the time on Earth. Works. Gravity is real, must take place all the way through the universe and work fine. Yeah, that's a law. It's a law of universal gravitation. Flat earther responds with the same weight. But when you use a larger distance rod for your measuring, it turns out that when you go outside of the solar system, gravity's core fundamental formulas don't work. And that's the reason we need dark matter, dark energy. Yeah, the Kepler's laws don't work. They don't match what is supposed to be, we're actually seeing. Yeah, so that's why we have to invent this new stuff to pad it all in and make sure that it matches what the law should be with this magical new magic stuff, dark stuff. So it's, no matter which way you look at it, you can frame the argument in either direction. And either can have overwhelming evidence in their favor, but the other will never believe them in the slightest chance that they're right. And that is what I found. I found that it's a standard human trait that we'll all flock together in teams of people, and we'll all kind of mock a certain type of people, let's say a minority or any minority group, you know what I mean? Whether it's their belief or even skin color. Yeah. When you go down that route of segregating and then all bullying someone, and it happens both in the flat earth as well as the globe earth, that is non-productive, toxic, and literally the opposite, or it reinforces the flat earthers. Put it this way, I always say, you're recruiting flat earthers more than you're actually debunking them. Because when you're saying that their lies and their genuine points that they're coming out with are lies, that's enough to turn anyone's back off you to never listen to you again. Because they know that it's fact. It's just you haven't had a look into it and thought, oh yeah, this can work on a globe. This works fine on a globe. I get what you're saying, you know, and it's that misunderstanding that the whole scene thrives off. And where all the money's at.
That's a good way to fucking. That's deep. That's deep.
So what I've decided that we're gonna call Gleem is this.
You decided. Open-minded Libra mother.
Have some of that.
Brother,
well off of that.
For real, boy. Can't lie, man. Jeez, that's what one thing we got to say. I think there's definitely a bunch in the common sense community that are a bit confused as well. And I think that's the bottom line, man, is that you're open-minded enough to understand understand what people believe on both sides, and you yourself feel like, you know, you're not, like you said, you're not qualified or whatever, but you don't feel like there's even a chance you can prove it unless you can actually do the equations yourself, like actually do the measurements yourself.
It's not even that. I could still do the measurements and present it to a flat earther. I think this analogy is a good one. Me, and here we go. You three, us three, you three. I'm talking to myself as if
you're looking at yourself.
That's how mash I am. Anyway,
you three on that.
Us three. Yeah, you three.
Like seeing two of you.
Guy with a headset.
So, us three.
There's only him on the screen. You see, like.
Wake up on a deserted island, yeah? And we don't know how we got here. We know that there's a smashed up boat there. None of us know our own names, yeah? We're all chill, yeah? We all start making food, making huts and whatnot. We have a third of the island each. We all start farming and doing what we need to survive and whatnot. Comes to a point where we're all having a bifter on the rocks. And it literally, one of us says, what do you think it is? A globe earth, a big sphere? Floating through space, or do you think we're on a big flat plane just here? Let's say Dan come in and goes, I don't know, I think it's a globe. Mice comes in saying, I think it's flat. It does look flat. Everything I can see is pretty flat. And then I come in saying, it's actually convex. It's doing the opposite thing, which I'm not going to throw in the mix, but I'm saying that is a genuine option and genuine people believe that. Pick up Jason McCormack. I think he's one of the leaders there. But anyway, concave earth. So we're sat there and we go, right, each of us are going to chill in our own part of the island. We've just made some paper out of some wood somehow, fuck knows. But we've just got paper and we're going to record the star movements, yeah, based on our own model, yeah. Give it a year, we'll all come back together and see who fits best. Now, what you're doing there, if you think of it like this, you've just measured reality over the year. Okay, so whatever reality you've just seen up there and you're applying to your model, your model's going to work because it's made from that reality. So you can imagine maths is a theoretical thing and an abstract thing that you can imagine to be whatever. It works on any shape. The only thing is the difference is to what extent and where does it start failing. And that's the thing. We could all come up with a perfectly working model. I could have a perfect concave model, smack it on you and say, look, this works. This describes my reality. Next year, same thing will happen. And it does. And you can say, no, I've got my flat earth model. That works perfectly fine too. And then Dan comes in going, that's science, boys. And that is literally science. People have multiple theories as to what is going on with some phenomena, and they'll put their ideas forward. It won't be as drastic as the shape of the earth, but that is science.
Yeah.
And people don't get that. People don't get that one person will believe something, like even scientists believe in God, you know, because they know that science can't disprove God. So it's kind of like their double-edged sword that they have to deal with. But a lot of religious people have formulated science. Even the Big Bang was Georges Lemaitre, whose literal words were, "The Big Bang is the handiwork of God." So, and again, going back to Rupert Sheldrake, he was saying, "One free miracle, give me one free miracle and we'll do the rest." Cheers, God.
Jeez. Well,
yeah, so
on that note, man, I think we have to say thank you very much, Gleem, for coming through, man. Jeez. We got to do it again, bruv. We definitely got to do it again, man. We will pick another topic. Because I know there's plenty.
Yeah, definitely there is too much.
Man. Jeez. Yeah, you
but
went
that is
in,
skimming
bro.
the surface. So that's what I found. I've just found that both sides have got toxic people on there. I've been rinsed by both sides, and both sides have got really good people and really clever people at that as well. And all I can say is, just to conclude, people are people. It's just like anything, any race, any country you go to, there are bad people, good people, ugly people, pretty people, according to you and your perspective on life.
Yeah, very true, man.
Yeah,
very true, bruv.
Not the same for everyone. Everyone's got a different set of eyes. Let them let them see.
So where can people find you now?
Okay, so on a flat earth wise, if you put in Gleem flat earth, you'll find multiple debates on my channel, which is YouTube Gleem. You'll be able to find a playlist called debates, and that's literally got about 20 debates in there of all the main ones that I've done.
You got to check out Gleem's flat earth debates.
They're long, and it is a lot of exactly what you were saying earlier, of people calling you poo-poo head and stuff, and going to childish antics instead of having a grown relationship,
conversation,
talk, adult talk. And it's like it's harsh, but it's the internet. Come on, and that's what happens. That's what happens.
Got to take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, for real, man.
Straight.
And
but I will say sorry, because we didn't show the presentation. I wanted to pick up one person, which is, out of all my experience, Barney Tearspell. Now, I haven't heard from him for about 3 years, since an earthquake went on near Austria, it was. And I've emailed him, I've YouTubed him and whatnot, and I haven't actually heard anything back since then. But Barney was a guy who had that same sentiment of, yeah, Gleem, a ship will hide the bottom of it. A wave will hide the bottom of a ship. So what? Earth's still a globe. And what can I come back with on that? So what? Earth's still a globe. Then that's his belief. I can't now say, well, yeah, that just proves that perspective does it. He's going to go, yeah, I know perspective works. Earth's still a globe. And he's right. And he loved me in as much as I would drop papers, for people to actually look up, whereas a lot don't. A lot miscite papers and cherry pick bits, but I actually give you something to look at and go into depth, and you'll find validity to it, definitely.
All right, so we should set up a presentation then. Really, if you've got like some content that you can, and the idea?
It was mainly that all tonight. It was mainly that all tonight. Apart from, there was 3 or 4 questions. One of them being, it's not one we're going to get into, but I'll leave everyone with it. Is that the old saying is, why is everything up in the sky a sphere and Earth not a sphere? That's mad. You must be mad to think that. Now, when you flip this perspective, this Machian perspective I love, now say, okay, tell me how many spheres have 7 trillion forms of life known to exist on it? Because what you're basically doing is showing me one Petri dish that's green and moldy with loads of fucking shit in it, and one which is blank, and saying, look, yeah, they're the same. And they're not. So it's like, if you do want to believe it, believe it.
Interesting.
But if you do want to believe flat earth, believe it. but I'm not switching to one side or the other because it could be either, and I could never tell. Never.
Ooh, so okay, yeah. We gotta set it up, man, because I think that will probably give people more of a visual explanation as well as to what you're saying.
Yeah,
it can be either or. It can be on that Libra level scale.
Yeah, that's it.
Libra meaning liberation.
You choose your poison.
Liberation, mother lovers. You know what I mean? Keep reading, keep digging, keep looking for some shit you might not never know nothing about, mother lovers. Gleem, you got this single out.
Yes. Adjust Your Brightness, it's called.
Adjust Your Brightness. We're gonna go out on that. You got to set it up whilst you can, D. And I'll give a shout out to the Common Sensors for coming through, man. Shout out to PLK, man. I'm glad you plowed through it, bruv. You made it to the very end. Shout out to Mrs. PLK out there. You know what I mean? We appreciate you lot keeping locked in. And I hope people got something from this, you know what I mean? The understanding that regardless on which side you're on, we can still live as one, regardless, you know what I mean? Like, you lot is still spending the same amount on petrol, regardless of whether it's flat or whether it's globe, it's the same amount of P coming out of your wallet. So shout out to Teddy T, shout out to Mount Jarvis, big up your Moore, Ken F, Blue Fliggy, yes, shout out to Bruce Willis in the building, shout out to Weird Tone, Lawrence Limburger. Yeah, we appreciate all you mother lovers that are locked in, man. Yes, King Chico won. Hey, King Chico locked in as well. Yeah, man. It's been a fun night, man. Gleem definitely came with the heavy hitting. I think a few people, you know what I mean? Some body shots, some low blows. Not too low, not below the belt, but some people felt it.
Some legal.
Yeah, they're all legal shots. Shout out to Big Pine Sailing. Yeah, man. People got involved tonight, man. Yeah, it got pretty crazy. Psychedelic Scientist. Yo, UK Detective. We saw the detective come through as well. Jesus, man. Shout to Tom Arnott. Long time no see. Shout to Chris Lahat. I Am. All the people that were locked in, man. We appreciate it. We're definitely going to have Gleem come back again. Kenny Rebel. Yeah, man, because, boy, bruv. Yeah, you still got me thinking, man. I don't know. I mean, you know, I guess we accepted a while ago that we're probably not supposed to know. And the bottom line is, yeah, these things are always going to create arguments because no one can definitively prove it. They could have just done it recently, though, man. They could have just done it. You lot went up there into space, apparently. I ain't even going to go. Yeah, you're right. It's just it's never ending. Shout out to DJ Lock, my brother locked in. Yeah, we're going to be doing a gig very soon as well in London, so we're going to make sure you mother lovers know about that. Ain't no thing but taking the name, baby. D, as always, thank you very much. Yeah,
It's late.
Yeah, it's late, man, but it's worth it, boy. Gleem held us down.
Go to the podcast.
Right, man, it is 12. I babbled, sorry.
Go and subscribe to the podcast, even if you're not going to listen to it. Get the subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Yeah, follow on Instagram.
Gleem, Instagram.
Yep, Gleem Music on everything. Apart from YouTube, it's just Gleem.
Wicked. And then we're also starting to put the original old shows on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, new channel.
So go and sign up to that. Eventually, we'll probably switch everything over to that. We've got enough people on.
You know what I mean? Because we want to go in, man, and you know I can't
we can't risk
jeopardize the channel too much. You know what I mean?
We'll be able to have you back on Gleem and touch a few of those
words that you didn't want to say.
Those fuses that you didn't want to.
Yeah, that's it. I should rename them. I should learn to rename them, innit? So you all know what they actually mean. But
give us
they're all backwards.
For
like
anyway, man.
Russian.
Before we get too excited and slip up anywhere, you know what I mean? Yo, Gleem, thanks for coming through, man. We're gonna go out with your tune. Make sure you follow him, mother lovers. Yeah.
Can I just pick up who it is? I don't know whether anyone knows. Exactly. I feel it's a big achievement in my music career either way. And it's only the first single that I've ever done. But it's with Gary Nestor Pine, ex-lead singer of the Wailers. And you may know him as such hits such as
There you
2015, he had the FIFA song, We the Love Generation. Come on, come on, come on, come on, yeah.
Oh, seeing that was him.
If anyone, that's him.
Yeah.
That's the man.
Wow.
So
Gleem
he's been a good friend for a good 15 years, kept in contact and whatnot.
Yeah.
And finally managed to wangle that. So
Nice.
all good vibes. But if you look up for my
Salute,
album as well, if you like what you hear, put it that way. You can look up my album Royal Bloodline on all the platforms. And this is Adjust Your Brightness. That's available on all platforms, but there's a website up for that, which is adjustyourbrightness.com. Salute. Oneness to everyone in the chat. Oneness to you, Mice. Oneness to you, Dan.
Love for coming through,
Good
bro,
to
man.
Up in
be on,
Gleem.
man, finally.
One.
Yeah, man, definitely, boy. Jeez. That's right, my brothers. That was Gleem right there, man. We're going to go out right now. You know what I mean? My name is Mice Diggy. There's some shit you might not never know nothing about. That's Dan DNA. And with this, we're out. Eh.
People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's silent? Hello? Financial giants buy up an alliance with lords and write laws of compliance. Tyrants for hire, privately acquire a proportion of the poor that supported them. Library of liars, lifetime suppliers. Get caught and retire all at your expense. Sick and tired of their tripwires. Oh, the cycle of crisis tortures them. Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. Oh, people adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's gone dead? Hello?
Hey, we got to conquer them all. We got to trample them down. A wicked man must fall. Run them out of the town. We're not gonna take no chat. Tell them to deal with that. And we're not gonna take no check in their political mess.
Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's silent?
It's not me,
Who do we thank for queues at the food bank?
I don't know.
Who do we thank for rescuing huge banks?
I really don't
Who
know.
do we thank for the brand new jabs?
I said I really don't know.
Who do we thank for the breakout in Wuhan? I hope it's all gone to plan. Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's gone dead?
It's not me, it's not me.
Anyone? Lionel?
Nobody not today, man. You expecting anybody to come save you? Oh, in Farmer Pirates.
Most people have things like this.